Hello, and welcome to Nostalgia Marcana. I'm your host, Doug Leaf. Each episode of this podcast, we'll look back on the movies, TV, games, people, and phenomena that we still love talking about all these years later, and ask ourselves why these bits of pop culture still enchant us today. This week, we'll be revisiting...
Cupid, draw back your bow and let your arrow go straight to my lover's heart for me, for me. Cupid, please hear my cry and let your arrow fly straight to my lover's heart for me. Now, I don't mean to bother you, but I'm in distress. There's danger of me losing all of my happiness.
The Bible says that man is created in the image of God, but if you ever looked inside, you know it's a disgusting, horrifying mess, so that ain't true. We're talking about Innerspace, because today we want to go deep inside Martin Short, and I mean really inside Martin Short. I'm really excited to be talking about this movie today because it is a classic piece of 80s sci-fi comedy that means a whole lot to me, and I know means a whole lot to our guests too. So first, bringing him back to the podcast, he's been on before on episodes including, but not limited to, Batman, Batman Returns, and Edward Scissorhands. Please welcome back Alex Sosin.
Good to be back again.
Really glad to have you here, buddy, and we'll get into all of our conjoined memories of this movie, but also coming back to the podcast is, you've heard him on, lots of stuff, Ghostbusters, Last Crusade, and many more. He's my co-host for my old show, A Podcast But Evil. Welcome back, Dan Oster.
Thank you very much, Doug. Good to be here. And we were just saying before, I was saying, we did do a podcast, but evil, on The Wicked Witch of the West, so go find that. You Wicked fans, you Wicked heads.
That's right. Because, by the time you hear this, Wicked will be out and as, dare I say, popular as ever. Everyone came up with that one.
It might be Gladiator 2. We'll see. My money's on Gladiator 2 because I'm a big fan of the first one, but we will definitely see.
Yes, they're trying to do a Barbenheimer, right? It's like Glick.
That's exactly what I was surmising. I was like, this will be the Barbenheimer. I think it'll be to less profitable effect, but I think that this is definitely what it is. It's going to be a Christmas Barbenheimer because we know, Red One movies like that didn't do as well. But I think this is where the box office dollars are going to go. The big ones, I think this is the big one.
The important thing is that we're paying attention to this as America descends into fascism. Okay, Doug, let's take it away. Let's get into it.
Well, then he'll ban the movies and only show certain movies like
Home Alone 2. That's it. That's the only movie allowed in the Trump era.
Right. That's the only one you need.
All right. So Innerspace, guys, I'm really excited to talk about our nostalgic memories of this. So, Alex, I'm going to throw it to you first because you and I, of course, go back to elementary school, and all my nostalgic memories on this one are kind of tied up with you. So I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is real. I mean, this is way back. So we were, 6 or 7 years old in Laguna Beach, and you'd come over to my house, watch movies. I'd go to your house. And, one of our conversations, even as kids, I specifically were obviously Phantom of the Opera. We got into that. We got into the different versions. I've been a fan ever since. And I think that this was around the time that you had been to the movies. And I think specifically you did tell me about, again, the best Superman of all, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, with the amazing special effects.
Yes, widely regarded as the best.
Widely regarded. The once Menahem Golan took over, it was just fire. But no, one of the movies you mentioned was a movie called Innerspace, and I think I had seen the trailer for it, whether I was in the theater seeing some old movie at the time or not. But you were like, you were describing some of the inner body sequences, some of the, obviously we'll get into later, but you were really describing them. And I was very interested in, again, I don't know if I saw it in the theater, but again, for the kids listening out there, there was once upon a time, there were VHS and Laserdisc, so that was kind of our main way of watching movies. And I think I saw it finally on VHS. I think I bought it, and I was just a fan ever since. I mean, when you're a kid and you see a movie like this, especially when you're 7 years old, it's not that the jokes and there are many adult jokes in it, but they don't click necessarily on an adult level. You just kind of, it's like watching Airplane as a kid or something. Like for me, I was like, oh my God, like, are these people going to be okay? I knew my mom and dad were laughing, but in this situation, I just remember it being a wild ride, and that was my introduction to Martin Short. I believe it was my introduction to Dennis Quaid, definitely my introduction to Meg Ryan, definitely Vernon Wells as Mr. Igo, and so on and so forth. But yeah, you saw it first. You told me about it, then I saw it, and it was just one of the many movies that I grew up watching. And to this day, I'm a huge fan of the score by Jerry Goldsmith, the direction by Joe Dante, the visual effects, which won the Academy Award, 1987 Best Visual Effects. So huge fan of the movie. Much to talk about.
Yep. Dan, I'll throw it to you then. Tell me about your nostalgic memories of Innerspace, because I know you were like psyched up to talk about this as Alex was.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I definitely must have watched it on VHS a ton, and I know that this was a VHS hit. Didn't do, like most of Joe Dante's movies, Gremlins being the exception, didn't really do that well. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know that. I was a kid and grew up with it and wore the tape out. And, yeah, I hope we get in, as we progress through the film, I found parallels of my life at various points, things that have happened in the movie. I'm like, oh, is it cosmic? Did I just decide that I'm going to do things that mirror Innerspace? It definitely seems to have happened. But I want to point one thing out right now. You mentioned that I was on the Last Crusade podcast, and the screenwriter of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is the screenwriter of Innerspace, Jeffrey Boehm.
The late Jeffrey Boehm.
It makes sense because I saw this movie recently at a screening. I went to a screening at Vidiot's this year, and which is the best way to watch a movie that you love. Go to a screening, go to a theater that's playing it, because you're going to watch it with people that are excited. They're cheering at the parts where you should cheer. They're laughing. It's the best. And Joe Dante spoke beforehand, as I was telling you guys before, and so I got some tidbits there. But I found out that Jeffrey Boehm of Last Crusade fame wrote it, and I was like, well, yeah, this movie has everything I want in a movie. It's got everything. It's funny. It's got a great car chase. It's sexy. I mean, it's like, this is what I think a movie is Innerspace.
Yeah, so my nostalgic memories of this, first of all, I can obviously second, I remember seeing it and then raving to you, Alex, about it.
You saw it theatrically, I'm almost positive.
Yeah, because I remember my dad taking me to it.
Yes.
And I think the reason was, you can't talk about this movie without talking about its most important antecedent, which is Fantastic Voyage. Which is a great movie, again, also about a crew of people shrunk down to go inside the human body and explore it, which I watched a bunch as a kid before this one, before I knew just how exciting Raquel Welch could be as an older person.
That's the reason to watch it now.
That is the reason to watch it now.
Richard Fleischer was a good director of that.
Yeah, and Donald Pleasance is great in it as well. It's a great movie, and it has cool special effects for the 60s. Yeah, it's a more mod version of the human body. But the big innovation that was in the original screenplay for this was the idea of, in Fantastic Voyage, the person who they go inside is comatose. They're in there to try and perform a very delicate operation inside his brain that could only be done by miniaturized people. And so the innovation here was like, well, what if the person who's being inhabited by the shrunken people is aware and can react to what's happening?
Right.
That was the big innovation for the script.
If I may, so Joe Dante had a point about this. Okay, so the original script for Innerspace was going around Hollywood back in the 80s, and it was widely regarded as not a very good screenplay. It was kind of it was a very clear ripoff of Fantastic Voyage, just kind of turned into like a spy film. It wasn't funny or anything. It was pretty bad. And Jeffrey Boehm got a hold of it and did a pretty page one rewrite, basically, which means you do the whole thing over. And the idea, what it turned, so, Joe Dante had seen that original version of it and was like, this is crap. I don't want to do this, whatever. Next, right? So Jeffrey Boehm came up with an idea, and the idea is this, and it's so compelling. What if Jerry Lewis was injected into Dean Martin? That's the elevator pitch. And, do it as a comedy, make it fun. And so you got this whole different movie. And that, that's the one we got. That's the one that got made. I forget the name of the guy who wrote the original one. He still gets royalties off of Innerspace, but apparently, according to Joe Dante, does not miss an opportunity to dump on Innerspace. It's not what I wrote. It's not what I envisioned.
Well, they had to change it up. They had to change the formula up. And again, like Doug was saying, the idea that he's no longer comatose and that he can react to it adds a whole new level of comedy, especially when you get a good comedian to be the victim of that. So definitely a good casting choice with Martin Short. The best casting choice you can imagine.
Yeah, Martin Short's fascinating to me because like he can be a lot. He's a powerful ingredient, right?
Yes.
And sometimes can be almost too much. But like when you use him properly, Three Amigos, Innerspace, Only Murders in the Building, he is brilliant. And I would put this up as one of his best performances because he plays it so real. He's such a real character. He's a real person.
Yeah, although I will say, like, a person who is literally famous for doing an impression of Jerry Lewis, right? Like,
well, there you go. Yeah.
I mean, this is right. He was on SNL, I think, a year or two before this, doing like Ed Grimley and stuff. So he's he's a perfect choice to bring in for something like this. And of course, Alex, we would be remiss if we did not mention our very, very tenuous connection to Martin Short, which is that our high school English teacher was his prom date.
That's
like,
right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So, I mean, it's like we're practically family.
God.
I guess, if the social papers are to be believed, he's currently dating none other than Meryl Streep.
Right. They're saying that, we'll see what happens. They, it might just be like we're the good friends. I mean, tabloids, everything gets blown out of proportion, but we'll find out. I mean, we'll definitely find out.
We can dream.
Yeah,
we can dream. It's a great couple.
Yeah, he really shifts it around in this movie that sometimes he is very grounded and other times he is absolutely Jerry Lewis.
That's the thing. It's like, this is the perfect vehicle for him. He's allowed to be Ed Grimley, but he also can show you that he's an actor. And
then you have somebody, like Dennis Quaid, who could be serious in movies like Jaws 3D, one of the best performances of the 80s. So
we've got Superman 4 is the best Superman.
That's
Jaws
right.
3D is the best Jaws.
So I only picked the best, and next up we'll be talking about Weekend at Bernie's 2. But no, in all honesty, you've got somebody like Dennis Quaid, who is clear, aside from meeting Meg Ryan on the set, I mean, clearly having a blast, clearly having a good time being deep inside Martin Short.
Yeah. And
did I say that correctly?
You did.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? And I can I say this? Another little tidbit that's coming to me from watching Joe Dante talk is that, look, when I don't know how much you listeners know about production, but like this is a movie where Martin Short and Dennis Quaid don't need to be in the same. There's like one time in the whole movie where they're in the same space. So they never, as actors, would have had to play off of each other, but they both wanted to read each other's lines. So they were off screen giving the other person their part so that they could, give a more authentic reaction and performance. And I think I just love that like commitment to making something cool.
I think that pays off beautifully here because again, you need them to have that chemistry. Their relationship is pretty much
it's the whole movie.
It's the whole movie for the most part. Yeah, and it works.
If it were, it's a Jodie Foster and an Anthony Hopkins where they're kind of there in spirit, even though they share absolute like behind the scenes, they're never in the same room together. So
yeah, and like. I mean, I do like that we're doing like a lot of what struck us, and then we can get into the play-by-play. But I watching it again, at 42 years old, with a bunch of people, like there are definitely jokes that, as Alex mentioned, that I didn't catch as a kid. That I was like, there's one in particular that's an extremely adult joke.
Probably something involving Mr. Igo, but I have a feeling I know what it is. Okay, I was thinking about it on the way over, and I was like.
And it's such a good joke.
But when you're a kid, it's like, wow, he's got all these. Yeah. Go ahead.
Just the complexity of the love triangle.
Yeah.
Between Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid and Martin Short. And like, because in this movie, Dennis Quaid's character and Meg Ryan's character are not together. Like they had broken up. And I think that that's really interesting, like how that plays out in a way that feels
Dennis
very
Quaid is like the John
mature.
McClane of pilots. He's on his own. He's I need you, Lydia. But we'll get into it. So much to discuss.
But a lot of complexity. Like ultimately what I'm getting from this conversation is like just how dense this thing is. It's an adventure movie. It's a comedy. It's so many things.
And the performances are top notch and nobody's bad in it. Everybody's invested. And you know what? One last thing I will say before I digress is that this heart, especially from a producer standpoint, Steven Spielberg knows his projects. So especially in the 80s when he was on that winning streak, aside from, doing my favorite movies, which were Jaws and Raiders, films like that, he knows how to pick the right people to get this done and get that right category. So he'll take, I'm sure he was a huge fan of Fantastic Voyage as well. I know he was a lot of movies that he was a fan of, Jaws, he was probably a huge fan of Creature from the Black Lagoon. He has these personal connections. And I think you really feel the kind of the Spielbergian, I know he hates that word, but this childlike wonder. You always have the childlike wonder where it's like, wow, I'm in the human body.
It makes you feel like a kid. Watching this movie makes you feel like a kid, for sure.
Makes you feel like a kid. And that's the Spielberg touch in addition to Dante or Richard Donner or whoever he picks to do those 80s films.
Yeah.
Can I just say one other connection, Doug? I've only done a few of these podcasts, but we did UHF. And
I was going there, yeah.
Yes, thank you. Please do it.
That's hilarious.
It's just what a great connection.
So the heavy here is played by Kevin McCarthy. Again, not the politician, right? Not the politician. Different guy, same name.
Yeah, fictional villain, not a real world villain.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers, of course.
Correct.
Dante's a fan.
Yeah, right. He's the lead in the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yes. He's the villain in UHF, as we talked about last year.
Wow.
But like, I could watch this guy play a villain forever. He just is so magnetically evil, and fun.
Also, it's like what a great a bit of just modulating his frequency just a little bit, right? Because in UHF, he's a cartoon, and in this movie he's big but believable. He's actually there are scenes where he's grounding the scene. I feel like.
Yeah.
Dante had worked with him. He gave him a more serious part in Piranha back when he did Piranha. Keenan Wynn calls him Piranha. Watch out for the Piranha. Also good special effects by Rob Bottin, but he had worked with Kevin McCarthy. Obviously, he was a lifelong. I've watched trailers from hell. Joe Dante narrates different trailers from the past and gets to know him. But he for him, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 56 is like one of the. I love the remake, but he is a huge fan of that. So he's like, yeah, of course, I got to use you in my film the way Tim Burton used, Christopher Lee or whoever. So
there's stuff where Martin Short, is asked, or actually it's Robert Picardo, another great part of
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
The cowboy,
the cowboy, where crazy shit's going on, and Kevin McCarthy is grounding it.
Yeah,
he's like.
It's
amazing.
And Robert Picardo, best known for Star Trek, I think, was it Voyager?
He was the doctor on Voyager.
It was Voyager, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a delight, by the way, he's a delight on Instagram if anyone wants to follow him.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, super charming, giving a very broad performance here as this character called the Cowboy,
Unreal.
which, what a great, weird element. This movie's already
such
pretty weird.
But such a great role for him.
First, I make love with my boots on, and second, and then he whispers the other thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Big Jack, don't knock, just come.
Just don't knock, just come. Duke, the son of a bitch. Yeah.
We've been kind of talking around Joe Dante's name a bit. We've mentioned Gremlins, but as a director, Joe Dante, I won't say he's like a gonzo director, but he's close. He's very much like, I'm going to add in some weird stuff because it makes me laugh or it just entertains me.
Similar
so
to
remind me, he did Explorers, right? He did Explorers.
Yes, which is also Robert Picardo.
Gremlins.
Yeah. Also makeup by Robert.
Innerspace, obviously. What? Any other big
Looney Tunes back in action?
Later, I did talk to Vernon about Looney Tunes back in action, that he enjoyed the experience, and he did enjoy Innerspace. That was the one I was all gushy about, was Innerspace, aside from The Road Warrior. But no, Dante did quite a few. He also did one of the great transformation werewolf horror movies, The Howling, 1981.
He did The Howling.
You
don't tell anybody. Don't put this out. Edit this out. You can keep it in. I've never seen The Howling.
It's good. It's good. It's not my favorite, but if you want to see great makeup effects, the usual suspects, Rick Baker, those kind of guys. These were all these makeup artists in their prime. Rob Bottin, those kind of guys. I would recommend it, and Robert Picardo is in that as well. And I believe he has a transformation
I'm sold. You've given me so many reasons to see it, but The Howling finds its way into a lot of
it's cult
montages.
Yes,
for the makeup effects.
For makeup effects, just like American Werewolf in London and this and that. But that's one of the big ones that came out. I think it was 81. But so Dante's had quite a history, and he's basically a film historian. And I know you heard him speak, but I know again from Trailers from Hell, much like John Landis or and a similar directing style to Sam Raimi. He's kind of like a showman. Like you said, he adds in humor. He adds in a lot of gonzo stuff. He's very creative. He seems kind of boundless as far as like he's not uptight. He's just kind of all over the place. And what better example of that than Gremlins 2: The New Batch. So
right.
He's very and he's
which was I've heard described as a Mad Magazine parody.
Yeah, well,
of its own antecedent. Like it like literally was like we're mocking the previous one.
And and it was great. So so I guess we have a movie to talk about.
We do. Let's get into this because you're going to get to hear about all this weird stuff in great detail.
Yes, indeed.
So we open on what the hell am I looking at? I'm not even sure, but it turns out to be a very, very, very tight close-up of a glass of ice cubes into which scotch is poured. We're at a party for some kind of military brass.
Which, by the way, already just a fun thing. Like it looks like a sci-fi prism, and you realize it's a glass of
like a
booze.
Spielberg touch, and the music by Jerry Goldsmith is otherworldly, and also it's almost like a heartbeat. It's an inner heartbeat. It goes dun, 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 and you're going through the ice. Really awesome credit sequence. I love that credit sequence.
And we're going to digress a lot, but
it's all good.
Alan Silvestri in the Back to the Future score, it's very much a clock, right? You can hear the like tick, 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 tick in the back, in certain aspects of the back. So I didn't know that, but I love that you're pointing that out. That this has got like a heartbeat.
Yeah, you're a lot, but also we're already inside of something. We're deep inside, and we're not going back. No, I don't even know what I'm talking about. But we're deep inside, like the ice, and I just love. I know it's only the beginning of conversation that's probably going to last 12 hours, but it really is a great tone setter. And I'm sure in the theater, if I were to have seen that as a kid like you, it probably would have been like, what the ever-loving fuck is this going to be?
Well, I know, but and I got to see it this year as an adult, and these are things you miss on your television, and you can envision it in the screenplay.
Yeah.
Like someone had this really great idea and it's completely realized.
Not on the page, it's not on the stage.
Yep. Yeah. But we go back into the Macroverse to watch our hero Tuck Pendleton invade this this gala for military whatever it is and make a complete drunken ass of himself until he is tossed out and beat up.
And as a kid, you don't quite realize how problematic he is.
Yeah, and he's got some really funny lines to start with, and he's like, at least when I came for my moment of honor, I didn't take a dump down the seat of my flight suit. You son of a bitch. He's got some funny one-liners.
But he's like, it's not cute alcoholism. It's like it's
embarrassing.
He's got a problem. Like he's not good.
No, like they make a point that like he tells this like anecdote he thinks he's charming, or he thinks is charming, that in fact he's just bored these people to death with 100 times because it's his one like
people are tired of him. He is definitely washed up.
And the everyman must be flawed. This is as much a hero's journey for soon to meet Martin Short, but this is also the hero's journey of Dennis Quaid. And in the classic Spielberg fashion, everybody sort of has to clean up their act, find their problems, face their fears. And this way, it's more of a family way. But great performance by Quaid. Fresh off Jaws 3D. The Academy Award-winning Jaws 3D.
Same for that.
I'll shut up about that. I just,
Tuck Pendleton, learns to be soft, and Jack Putter learns to be hard. I mean, that's...
Yes. He gives him the wisdom. He kind of teaches him to be a man from the inside. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so he is helped back home by his apparently long-suffering girlfriend, Lydia, played by Meg Ryan.
Also bursting onto the scene. I believe this is Meg Ryan's first film role.
I will say Meg Ryan had small parts in
Top Gun.
I'm sorry, as a lead.
Well, yeah. As a lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was in a horrible movie called Amityville 3D. Back to 3D again, where she wanted to make love to a ghost. That was her character's motivation.
Well, who doesn't? I mean,
no, who does? Hey, they made the movie Ghost. But yes, this is her.
And Ray Stantz as well. Let us not forget his dalliance with Spirit.
Ray Stantz. Yeah. Well, in the uncut version, Ray Stantz gets his wish, and may that model rest in peace. But anyway.
But yes, I believe this is her first lead. So this is introducing the world to a lot of our young crushes. Meg Ryan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's adorable in this. But yeah, she leads him home, and she's like ready to walk out. He's still drunk as hell and like bleeding and just in terrible shape. But he uses his one card left. He throws on their song Cupid by Sam Cooke.
Great Sam Cooke, by the way. We gotta acknowledge how Sam Cooke is throughout this. Also, I didn't realize that there's a version of it that's used in this. That's actually what's his name?
Rod Stewart.
There's a Rod Stewart version. That's
Oh, really?
used, which I didn't know.
On the credits, at the end.
In the credits, okay. But Sam Cooke. I mean, what a great soundscape to add to your film.
I love Sam Cooke.
music.
My first dance with my wife when we got married at the wedding was a Sam Cooke song. Not this one, but a different one.
Oh, you told me, and then she gets miniaturized, and then she got. Stuck
I
remember.
Don't know much about history. It wasn't that one, was it? Don't know much about.
No, it was not that one. It was.
So it wasn't a witness needle drop. Okay.
That was used in Animal House to comedic effect. Apparently, Sam Cooke is used in comedies, even though his life was nothing but funny.
No, he had a very tragic life.
But again, for those that don't know, Sam Cooke will change your life.
Great
music.
great.
And it's all throughout Innerspace.
Absolutely.
So this works. She kisses him, but it doesn't. The spell apparently wears off because the very next morning she is hauling ass out of there, hopping into a cab, and he runs out trying to stop her in nothing but a towel because he read apparently a Dear John note she left behind.
You know what's going on here. You read the note.
Yeah, I read the note. Good. Nice, clean break. Leave everything behind.
I don't live here.
A one-nighter?
Will you
shut up? Get
up?
back in
Just
your
shut
cab, will
up.
you? Yeah, I read the note. It's your standard farewell address. I know it by heart.
Excuse me.
Lydia, look, don't leave. You know you love me, huh? Look, I know you're crazy about me. I mean, look, in a week or two, I'm gonna call you. You're gonna call me. We're gonna be back together
No,
again.
we won't.
I don't get it. I get a little drunk. I make an ass out of myself. What's the big deal?
Things are different now, Tuck. It just hurts me too much to be with you.
Lydia. Lydia, I stubbed my toe on the cab when I kicked the door. I think it's broken.
Well, better your toe than your heart. Right? Can we go now, please?
Lydia! Lydia! Lydia!
And they break up. Cab takes off with the towel.
With
And
the towel,
ladies, if you need a reason to see this movie, you get to see some real
Dennis
USDA approved Dennis Quaid butt
naked in San Francisco, and of course, like you were mentioning, we're going way ahead, but great car chase in this movie, and of course they use the streets of San Francisco. This does take place in San Francisco. I would say San Francisco is somewhat of a character in this movie. As a kid, I wasn't really conscious of like where it was taking place. I was like, oh, city, good. I don't know, but there's hills and street. It's got a very cool character for the setting because San Francisco, and then the science labs and everything is advanced.
Yeah,
in
well,
San
it makes
Francisco.
sense, right? It's a very tech-based plot.
Yeah, and as we'll see, I think the lab itself is in Silicon Valley or something.
Yeah,
they make it clear. Yeah, you're in the Bay Area, and there will be some prominent San Francisco landmarks and things during the chase sequence that's towards the end of the movie.
That's right.
So yeah, in fact, we get to nail it down. We get a title card that says it, Silicon Valley 2 months later. And we meet Jack Putter, played by Martin Short, going to see his doctor for the millionth time.
Yeah.
All right. So all of the Dan Oster fans of this podcast know how I've talked about mind-body stuff and chronic pain and everything. And I'm watching this movie and his relationship to his doctor, and I'm like, oh my God, I grew up to have these conversations.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's like his long-suffering doctor, really.
Well,
Just
but no,
hearing
his
what
doctor is
Jack-
exploiting him too. His doctor is
Yeah.
he's like, I've built a very successful practice on you. He says it out loud.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll jump ahead a little bit. At the end of the movie, he goes, I've got some new tests I'd like to run on you.
Yeah. But by then, Jack is a man. He doesn't need that doctor anymore because he's cured. But yeah, that was and this is a great opening. Yeah.
But it's such a great all these great comedies of the 80s deserve great character introductions, and this is such a great introduction.
Yeah.
To Jack Putter.
Yeah, he's a hypochondriac. He's scared of his own shadow. He's riddled with anxiety. We don't know specifically why. That's not important. But there's a couple of key things that are brought up in the scene. One, he's allergic to hairspray. That will be critical later. Two,
I would argue he believes he is, but anyway, that's
right.
Yeah, regardless.
It's the plant and payoff. It's in screenwriting class they call it the plant and payoff. off. So it's, Chekhov's gun.
Yes, but he's also psychic because he has this recurring nightmare where he's working his job at the grocery store. He's checking out this woman, he's checking out her groceries, and for some unknown reason, the prices are off the charts high to the point where her bundle of groceries costs over $100,000.
That much?
Yeah, and this very distinctive woman who's wearing like a bright green clothes and has bright red hair.
I'm in a hurry.
Yeah, pulls out a tiny gun and points it at him.
And who you will absolutely remember.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
They make it very easy to, you will remember this woman's appearse.
It's terrifying when you're a kid. This is kind of like a large Margie moment or something out of Return to Oz. Like when you're 7 years old, like I was, I'm like, oh, there's that lady. Oh no, I hope nothing bad happens. I'm scared. Shit like that.
Right.
Good, well done scene.
Put a pin in all of that nightmare because we're going to see it again in a minute. But so he's told by his doctor, you need rest.
But can I just say again, like you do have Joe Flaherty in a small role in this movie. You have
Andrea Martin.
We have these great character no character is wasted in this.
Right.
So I just want to give the doctor. I don't know the name. You may know the name of the actor who's playing the doctor, but just he's so great. Like every minor character is great in this movie. And I want to talk about other ones, but he's fantastic.
Well, yeah, it's and Dante would do that. He'd use guys from sci-fi movies. I mean, he used again jumping ahead, but Kenneth Tobey. Play with it, pal, but don't talk to it. Something like that. That's Kenneth Tobey. Of course, It Came from Beneath the Sea and The Thing from Another World. So this is Joe Dante. I'm sure he had a hand, obviously, in the casting too. But Spielberg, I mean, these guys were sci-fi fans. They grew up on this stuff. So, sci-fi and westerns. So yeah, all the character actors were known at the time. I can't remember the doctor's name. I know he actually passed away quite recently, but he was in sci-fi movies as well. He was in a lot to Yeah, I know that.
Again, he's just great. He knows exactly what he's there to do.
Yes,
and he does it.
Yes.
So we meet a character. This is the second time we see this character, Pete, who was at the military gala in the beginning. So he's some kind of a colleague of Tuck's. Not exactly clear what the relationship
Feels
is.
like his last friend, the one he hasn't completely alienated.
And he's on his way out, too. He's like, oh, God, what has he done now?
Yeah, he's kind of done with him.
He's done.
Right,
yeah.
But we're getting some exposition here that there's some kind of project going on that Tuck has been hired as the pilot, the test pilot for whatever this thing is, and he's the only one who would apparently sign up for it. He's the only one crazy or desperate enough to do it. Wabbits, whatever it is.
Yeah, wabbits.
I know it's hard to believe.
Hard. Try impossible.
That's why I want you there, to see for yourself. Then, if you're interested, the project's yours.
Look, first amaze me, then we'll talk funding.
Damn this traffic. We're gonna be late.
Just out of curiosity, who's your guy? Your pilot?
You might know him. Pendleton. Tuck Pendleton.
Why'd you choose Pendleton?
He had the right qualifications.
Such as?
He was the only one we could find who was crazy enough to do it.
Let me tell you something about Tuck Pendleton. He could have been one of the best. But he hates authority, he can't take orders, and he likes to make up his own rules. I don't look so depressed. Experiment's bound to fail long before Pendleton has a chance to screw it up.
And we cut over to Tuck, who's just slapping himself to psych himself up. That's how he does it. The Tuck machine, zero defects, as he says.
Yeah, he's probably hungover, if not drunk. At this moment.
Yeah, well, he cleaned up a little bit. What I love about this, in addition to the intro to one of my favorite fucking sci-fi vehicles ever, but the other thing I like about this from a filmmaker perspective is how quickly we get down to the meat. A lot of directors these days want to really have a long version. I'm glad Innerspace was not directed by Martin Scorsese. Instead, we're already, I think we're maybe at the 15 or 20 minute mark, and immediately
we're Brit. It's a brisk pace. Now
yes.
we're digressing on that here because we're
but the point is we don't need anything else.
This movie clips.
Yeah, this movie clips, and we don't need anything else. We're ready to go. And as a kid, I remembered that's one of the reasons I loved it is that I'm like, even in the opening scenes, which are not as interesting as the later, I'm like, oh, I can't wait. It's coming up. He's going to go in the pod. So anyway, the editing was great on this.
Yeah, they do move, as you said, they move pretty quickly from him, like kind of psyching himself up. Then he's just like walking through the lab.
You're not nervous, are you?
Yeah, and we're kind of getting the download.
Yeah, I think he hits on probably some technician, if I recall. Like
he kisses somebody. He takes a Polaroid
as I'm growing. Yeah, again, formative experiences. Be like,
it was the 80s, man. It was the 80s.
I'm like, to be a man is to be like chiseled, charming, and drunk. That's what.
You can't do
and
now.
God damn it if I didn't achieve my dream.
Tuck Pendleton now would be played by Chris Hemsworth, unfortunately, The Tuck Pendleton machine.
I like
zero
Chris.
defects.
I think he could do it.
No, I'm just saying it would be different.
Of the Chris's, I think he'd be a good choice.
Yeah, I'm just saying the 80s, they had it right as far as the filmmaking.
Yeah, and I didn't look this up, but this head scientist in charge of the project, his name is Ozzy.
Ozzy.
I told you about it. Did I tell you? Was I the guy that put this on your radar, Doug?
No, I don't know what you're about to say. Go for it.
That he is the DP on a bunch of Joe Dante projects? Is that right?
Oh,
I didn't know that.
In my brain was telling me he was the dad from Small Wonder, but I don't know that that's actually true.
He's definitely not.
He's not. Okay.
He's not.
The guy who, I think it's the same character, the guy who injects him, right?
Like it is, Ozzy, desperately.
Yeah. So
him,
this again, you only learn this if you go to these screenings.
Yeah. The
guy leading the project is, if you look it up, he's the DP on a lot of Joe Dante projects. He's the director of photography. And as Joe Dante put it, we need a guy who's the kind of guy that when you like ask him what time it is and he has a cup of coffee, he turns and looks and spills the coffee, and they're like, you know who that is? It's this guy that we already all know. Yeah. And so you put him in it and you watch and you go, he's not an actor in the best sense. He's playing real. He feels incredibly real.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a great point. He does come across as like, I guess not an actor, but like some scientist they found somewhere to do this.
Can you look like you're working in the background?
Just a real person is what he comes across as, which again is just like, that's directing, man. I mean, that's a directorial choice to do that.
Yeah.
Yep. So a couple of things happen in this scene. We got a note. Number one, we find out the plan is to shrink him down and inject him into this rabbit for this test. The other thing is there are these two microchips. They're identical looking red circular microchips. Yeah. One goes on the pod, the submersible.
The submersible pod that's there. They're talking about the submersible pod, behind the scenes, the Kraken 2. My favorite, but go ahead. I love the Proteus and the Kraken 2. Amazing design. I love this fucking thing. It was like Explorers. He wanted it to look like kind of taken apart. I'm sorry, but it's like, he wanted it to look like a beat up, kind of put together, that scientists would put together, not pretty. And the design is all the better for it. I wanted that thing. I love that thing.
Yeah, it's not slick. It looks. It has more in common visually with something like the Apollo Moonlander than it does with the Proteus from Fantastic Voyage.
And he did it in Explorers. He did it with the Thunder Road. That's the vehicle they used to go to space. And that was clunky and put together. So it was like the same idea that he sort of passed on. I love that. Yeah. I love the design of it, though.
But yeah, plot critical thing. There's two chips. One is the one that's on the outside that I guess somehow manages. It's important to the machines doing the shrinking, and then you need this corresponding one on the machine being shrunk. That is part of the process. Thankfully, we don't need to get a whole lot of techno babble about how it works. They just fire up the thing, shrink them down, and we're off to the races.
Yeah, I love the 80s. If it was directed by Christopher Nolan, there would be an hour of explanation about the chips. Thank God it's not directed by him. I'm sorry. No offense to the fans of Nolan out there.
Well, this is more about, the emotional content. It's not about how it works. It's about, that's exciting.
Well, if you get a general idea, then you're good to go. And that's the thing, is you don't have to explain too much. I mean, generally, audiences are not idiots. They, and this was a quick explanation. I liked the way they'd handled it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I recall correctly, Doug, after he's shrunk down, this is when they're invaded, right? This is when there's basically
immediately
right after they shrunk.
Yeah, as soon as he's shrunk down and put into this hypodermic needle where he's supposed to be injected into the rabbit, we cut to the outside and these goons in orange jumpsuits come in, and instead of shooting the guards and the employees,
I do appreciate this non-violent thing we've invented for this.
It's this can of what looks like hairspray. It's some kind of aerosolized thing that is knockout gas. Immediate unconsciousness.
Yeah, it's fine. We're gonna go with this so we don't have people getting murdered. Although, Doug, is this gonna air before or after the Santa Claus?
After.
It's gonna air after. Okay, so
the Santa
Doug and I were talking about how in the Santa Claus, he was explaining to me because I'm like, they didn't kill Santa Claus, did they? And he's like, abso-friggin-lutely, Santa Claus dies in the Santa.
He does, yeah.
Essential to the plot.
He does.
Yeah, it's wild. It's so wild. But in
Yes.
this movie, we're not gonna just shoot a bunch of people in this lab. We're gonna just knock them out with a made up kind of spray.
Don't tell mom the babysitter's dead meets A Christmas Story. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's critical because these lab techs are all going to need to be alive in 24 hours to undo the shrinking. So
fair. It does solve a plot problem down the line. That's true.
It's kind of like Face Off, except in that one there was nobody left alive and he was stuck with that face. But in this one, we got some people to help him out later.
Right. So as this is happening, Ozzy grabs the needle and runs, leading to
Can I pause for a moment? I actually want to ask you a question. So Ozzy grabs the needle and runs. Is it to prevent the tech from falling into the hands of people that are going to misuse it, or is it to save Tuck, who's
both?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, at that point, he's just taking the most valuable asset and getting the hell out of there. Because I assume that they were like after it right away, or that he knew somehow. He's like, oh, this
right. But
I
I just want to like pause on this. Like, as a character, if you're playing the part, you're writing the scene, why grab that and run? Why not just run? And is it because he's got a moral obligation to make sure that bad people don't get miniaturization technology, which feels like probably the most?
Yes, I would say. I mean, if I was writing it, I write a few screenplays, and if I was writing this, I would have the motivation to be to grab it. I would not have him run. He'd be like, we got to get it. Like,
well, because you have to imagine this guy's been working on this for years, and he probably realizes like this is dangerous.
Yeah.
So he's like, people can't, the wrong people can't have this. Yeah.
These people claim to be phone repair. They're not. They're after
But to your point, like, we don't have any dialogue about this. He just grabs it and runs. So as an audience, you just decide like, okay, why?
No, that is a good point. I think it was one, it wasn't explained, but two, I'll pass it off as instinct. He instinctually grabbed it to as a scientist grabbing the precious.
This is his priority, is protecting.
He's a DP. What does he know?
Right. So the goons invade. One of the goons takes off the mask to reveal this is a character we'll come to know as Margaret.
A woman.
A lady. And she gets the red chip, or at least the one that is in the machine. Obviously, the other one's with Tuck, shrunk down. And so she sees Ozzy. I think we find out later they know each other somehow.
Yeah, that's when he runs.
Yeah, so he takes off, and Mr. Igo pursues.
Oh.
This guy's a Bond villain. Like,
Exit. Pursued by a Mr. Igo.
Never says a word. He's odd job, aside from the groans.
He's a little more Jaws, the Bond villain.
He's definitely
Jaws.
more. Yeah, he's and I have to say, when I was a kid, at that time I hadn't seen The Road Warrior. There were a few other movies that I hadn't seen. Commando, Bennett and letting off the steam and all this kind of stuff. I hadn't seen all this kind of stuff that the actor done at the time. No, but frankly, his character Vigo, and I told him this once in 2004, and I told him again when I met him at when I was working like an actors convention. He was there as one of the guests. I told him, you're Mr. Igo. You scared the shit out of me. Because he did. He's just like he's
probably
just
not the first time he's heard it.
No, but he's Mr. Igo. He really is kind of like the Terminator. Also, I mean the Terminator 1.
Sure.
An unfunny, unkillable guy, and that's kind of. I think again I saw this before even the Terminator. So yeah, great acting choice by Vernon Wells. Really well done performance. Stoic, evil.
Yeah, and he pursues Ozzy, across town. There's a bicycle chase. He's dodging the car.
Come on. He steals a bicycle from a kid. Come on, don't skip over great moments like that.
Yeah, that's true.
He commandeers a bicycle from a child.
Yeah,
that's my bike.
my bike.
My bike.
So yes, he steals Pee Wee Herman's bike. Anyway, so he runs off into the mall. And from there, we cut to Jack, Martin Short, who is trying to book a cruise on his doctor's advice. Nothing too exciting, of course.
Mr. Putter? Mr. Putter? Well, I certainly envy you. Fun, excitement, relaxation.
No excitement. Doctor's orders.
How about maybe a little shipboard romance?
Well, as long as it isn't too exciting.
As long as it's not too... They're like, well, are you looking for it? Well, as long as it's not very exciting.
Right.
Another great kind of airplane dialogue.
And so Mr. Igo, we cut to him scanning the mall, and like, so he does this thing where he raises his finger and points at Ozzy, and it turns out his finger guns are real. Like, he shoots a bullet out of his finger straight into Ozzy, which is great because up until this point they have not revealed that he has this like detachable multi-tool of a hand.
Well, and they don't even reveal it then. You see it later that he's changing the hand, but even then it's just like he see the thing fire, and if you remember, the balloon pops, and it's a little, I don't know, I don't want to get too pretentious, but it's a little Hitchcock kind of thing there. But the balloon pops, like, wait, who got shot? And then
isn't there a kid that notices it and he does something like shit?
He goes,
like,
he
mugs to the kid. He
mugs to the kid. He does
okay.
He does a
again, never waste a moment, right?
Charles Payne, Passenger 57 is what he does. Anyway,
and we're gonna go from Hitchcock to like David Lynch in a second because So Ozzy, we don't realize he's exactly been shot, but he looks bad and he stumbles. He's in an elevator.
And he's not doing well.
Yeah, and Martin Short walks into the elevator, and Ozzy just stabs him in the ass with the hypodermic needle as a last gasp. He then wanders off, passes out, and there's all these like guys.
No, he dies. I mean,
he dies, not passes out.
This is dark. This is dark as shit. All right, you're a kid watching this movie. POV shot.
POV of his last moments of life.
Of a dying man's last moments. As it fades to black, as a bunch of people gawk at him.
No, not people. People in like mascots.
You're right.
They're like, it's like
yeah, and like goofy, like balloon clowns or whatever the fuck it is. Like, I give Joe Dante so much credit for like, that's.
But also Spielberg is producer. I bet he's like, well, as long as we don't hurt the children, let's kill this fucker.
Yeah,
because if you hurt a child in a movie, you die.
Yeah, I mean, the guy fucking dies, and you die from his perspective. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and again, with all these like laughing like things.
Yeah, and then cut to black, and then once we're on him, he's dead as disco.
Right. And I love there's like a photographer who's like, "Did you see that?" And like Igo just punches the shit out of them. Like,
he breaks the camera, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, crucially,
he fucks him
no
up.
evidence.
And now we get into like we're inside the human body, and we're gonna get our first miniature, special effects wow shot, which is just the submersible, basically between layers of what we'll find out later are fat cells.
And we should mention here now, this whole movie is so much more interesting and impressive and fun because it's all practical. They had to come up with all these different ways to show blood cells and things like that moving through a human body, and it's not all CGI. It is done so well.
These are the guys who blew up the Death Star in Star Wars, and these are the guys who would soon do Jurassic Park a few years later.
It is, I would argue, more tactile and real and interesting than anything you could do with a computer. It's very cool.
And I'll do you one better. The movies of the 80s, the other thing that's so appealing, whether you're talking about an Indiana Jones film or you're talking about, a little bit more of a subdued comedy like Innerspace or something like Gremlins, is they always pick the best. I mean, Gremlins had Chris Walas, who melted the faces in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and you had him back designing the Gremlins. Chris Walas would go on to do the puppeteering for The Fly and direct The Fly 2. In this case, you've got Dennis Muren, you've got those visual effects artists, you got the Star Wars guys, the Lucasfilm connection, ILM, so you've got those guys back. They would go on to win the Academy Award. I cannot stress enough how important the visual effects are in this movie.
Sure.
They are very, very important to create that world, because Fantastic Voyage, in my humble opinion, was a great looking film too. I love the visual effects of that. It's just, they didn't, it's one of those movies where it's like, well, we don't really, they weren't being as accurate. I think they were being more fantastical. This is one where like, no, we're going for accuracy now.
I mean, it's in the title.
And it's in the title, and now we're getting into, again, back then it was miniatures and, full sets and practical effects, this kind of stuff, but it's all in camera. And that's the beauty of this. And there really is no substitute. There's never been a substitute.
Yeah. This movie is really one of the last movies to do it all practically and do it.
88.
Do things that are almost impossible to render. And they figured it out.
They do it again. I mean, yeah, like Die Hard, and they have their other movies. You know, Richard Edlund. They'd have people still doing it, but yeah, once you hit about 1990, 1991, you're starting to get into that kind of abyss territory. Experiment with liquid metal, do the T2, go into Jurassic Park. But this is kind of like the last. Yeah, it was the last Showgirl. But what a fantastic looking film! Because now you're in Act 2, going into Act 3. It's an entirely new world, and boy, did they sell it. I mean, again, Dan, you seeing it theatrically, it must have looked amazing on a big screen. Seeing that,
I mean, you're in awe of just the work that's being done here.
Yeah. Plus the music by Goldsmith. I mean, you've got top brass.
Yeah, all of the any of the shots, of the inside Jack's body.
Oh.
I mean, it's hard to stress, if you haven't watched this or haven't seen it in a long time, like I watched it in 4K on the biggest TV I had in my house. And like, it's good. I imagine it theatrically, I can't remember from when I was a kid, but I mean, you just feel transported, and you have to buy the fidelity of it, because that actually increases the tension a lot. Like, it makes you buy into the danger that Tuck is in. I think if it looked like it did in Fantastic Voyage, if it was more like a fanciful rendering of the human body, I don't think it would feel right. I think you need to sell this as like an alien, scary place.
And Quaid's performance. So Quaid's performance for the rest of the movie is he has to sort of man up, but we're as nervous as he is. That comes down to Quaid's performance.
It's interesting. There's a few movies where this is true, where an actor is in an isolated place. There was that phone booth movie, I think, with Kiefer Sutherland, like back in the day.
Right. Buried.
With Ryan
Reynolds.
And stuff like that. I mean, that's another weird aspect of this movie, is that Dennis Quaid does most of this movie just in a pod.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a couple of quick scenes where Jack kind of makes his way back to work. Tuck is trying to contact Mission Control and can't. But we get Jack really kind of going back to work, where he is getting a little talking to from his coworker, Wendy.
And one more thing, Jack does not know he's in a human body yet.
Right. He does not.
He's not sure. He wants to know if he's in the bunny. That's something else, is that he hasn't figured it out.
Right. So the coworker, she is, I guess, she wanted to go on a date with Jack, and it fell through. Yeah,
great actor. Yeah.
Or no, sorry, she forgot their date. She forgot to go out with him.
I'm sorry. We have to really pause and give some props to Wendy Shaw.
Yeah, she was awesome.
Like, this character is one of the greatest characters I've ever seen. She does not waste a moment. She's bad fucking news. She is terrible. She has a history with Jack, but sucks. She straight sucks. It's really funny. And
and she's the village bicycle. Everybody's had a ride.
Yeah. I dated her. This person exists, and she's on screen, and and also she went on to be the voice of she's on American Dad. She's she's the lead, character on
I knew she stuck with comedy. I know that. I didn't know as much. She went on to do that. But I mean, Wendy Shaw in this movie is a force. She's an icon. She's in Madeline Kahn territory for me, of nailing every second. Yeah. And she looks like her.
So she's great. So I just want to say, she's not just a bimbo. She's a fully realized terrible narcissist.
And Jack's boss, yeah. And the supermarket, the guy who had, I forget his name too, but his boss at the supermarket cracks me the hell up.
Oh, that guy. He's so good. The Klobuchar's, he's from the Burbs, right?
Yeah, that's right. And there you go. That's another Joe Dante.
Sorry, we're getting all, and this is a psychedelic, we're
geeking out, but Joe Dante did the Burbs as well.
But Wendy Shaw, again, I just want to give Wendy Shaw credit for giving one of the iconic, she's beautiful in it, she's funny, and she's terrible. She's a terrible person.
And you dated her. Someone like that.
Yeah, well, what I love about that is, the first thing you see her before she opens her mouth, and you register this is an extremely attractive woman, and then she's interested in Martin Short, and you're like, dude, why are you blowing her off? And the more she talks, the more you're like, oh no.
Is this where she says, she says it at some point, because she's like, you're the only person in this store that I haven't slept with. So they're dating, but they haven't slept together, but she slept with everybody else.
She blew him off, and not in the good way.
Right.
She blew him off.
She's so funny. It's just, there's
she's like, don't you remember we had a date? Oh, I forgot. Just perfect.
Yeah. But this transitions quickly into nightmare territory because
right away.
Because his Martin Short's vision has come true. The lady in the green top and the red hair is there. And Tuck is trying to basically get a hold of a signal back to mission control. So he turns on what he calls an electromagnetic booster within the pod.
It's so wonky. I love that.
Yeah,
like Ghostbusters kind of stuff.
Yeah, it messes with the cash register, which causes it to ring up crazy high prices, just like in the dream. And then this lady pulls out the same little tiny pistol, but it's a cigarette lighter.
Well, I'm in a hurry.
Yes, you are.
Just add it up, will ya?
Ozzy, if you can hear me, I'm going to try to restore contact from your end by activating one of the electromagnetic booster cells. Stand by.
Say, that's kind of pricey for shampoo, ain't it?
Ozzy! Oh, no.
$128,000. Is that with or without the coupons?
What have you done, Jack? What have you done?
It's a dream.
What?
It's a dream.
God, Jack, way to screw up. Listen, sweetie, I don't carry that kind of cash around with me.
No.
Jack, get a hold of yourself, Jack.
I need some aspirin.
What?
Please, I'm begging you for the bag.
Oh, hi! I'm not buying that aspirin now!
$800 a bottle, who'd want to?
Jack, you're becoming unglued. You're coming apart at the seams, Jack. Oh, my God, he's completely spaced out.
All right, let me handle this. Jack.
And he has a full-on panic attack, and it is, you know, what's funny about this is the danger is so high, the stakes are so high, but it's just those 80s movies do it like no other movies, where it's also funny as hell. Because you have the power of Martin Short, so the way he reacts to things, I mean, the scene is hilarious. At that point, I know even if I watched it right now again, I'd be laughing my ass off, because it's just like, everything's coming true. It was building to and he's overreacting, he's having a panic attack, but it's Martin Short having a panic attack.
Yeah, it's absurd that he would encounter the exact scenario from his nightmare, but here we are.
Yeah, but it's perfect. It's perfect for a film like this.
It's very Joe Dante, yeah. But also that scene, like how he like handles it, which is like he goes into like full like Ed Grimley, like Martin Short over the top mode. I need aspirin, and he like,
Jack, you're making an awful sound.
He's chewing like 10 aspirin like in his mouth, like
Jack, what's that sound you're making? His boss is like, oh, Jack, you've gone complete berserk.
It's again another great performance. Like, Jack. Oh, Jack, you know, oh gosh, I don't, you know, he's just like everything around him is making him worse.
So what's going to happen is Tuck decides, all right, I need to figure out what the hell's going on. I'm going to travel up to the optic nerve so I can hack into what he believes is a rabbit's eyeball and take a look around. So
yeah, he still doesn't know. That's right.
We cut to Jack. He's in like the manager's office. They've gotten him away from the customers.
Yeah.
And his eye is like twitching in this really weird way. And then all of a sudden he screams.
What's wrong, Jack? What's wrong? Let me see. Let me see.
Come on, where the hell's the picture? Come on. All right, Oz. It's not Oz. Who the hell is that? Where's the lab technicians? Where's the lab?
It was just so strange. It was like someone had suddenly shoved a white-hot sewing needle through the pupil of my eye.
Oh, God.
You stand up now, Jack.
What is this? Did Bugs just stand up? What's going on here? This can't be. I'm in a man. I'm in a strange man. I'll be a son of a bitch. I'm in a strange man, surrounded by strangers in a strange room.
You go home and start your vacation today. This afternoon, Jack.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And you come back to us a new man.
Do you mind if I use your phone? Maybe I should phone my doctor.
Oh, go right ahead, Jack. What a good idea.
Well, that's such a hard. Yeah, so Tuck shoots a probe into Jack's eye.
That's a great prop too. That thing looks it's these horrible spikes.
And as a kid, you just got like, God damn, that is.
No, it's hardcore because it looks real. But the other thing is, he not in the back at the doctor's office by this point? I think he says like you have to go, or because this is when he screams.
No, they're still at the store.
Okay.
They're in an office. But he starts screaming, right? Like because he shot a needle into his eye.
Yeah, it's great. It looks like he's firing a harpoon into an eyeball.
But again, like you have to believe like Tuck definitely left behind things in Jack's body. I do feel like that hook is like in his eye.
Well, and he says later, you know what? We're gonna need a lot more help when he first sees his face in the mirror. Yeah.
So Tuck now has a window to the world, and he realizes he is inside a man.
Right. So he shoots the probe, and so he can see through Jack's eye.
That's right. He doesn't. He's not at the doctor's. Yeah. And then he's right. But he. Yeah.
Can I just again? I just there's a great Wendy show. I think Wendy is the name of the character, but it's one of those great moments where like the character's name the same thing. Yeah, it's Wendy. So Jack is like freaking out. She comes in with coffee, and he goes, "Oh, great coffee!" And she shrinks back and goes, "I got it down the hall." Like it's for her. I mean, just everything she does is selfish and terrible.
And then there's no smoking in there, and she puts it out in the coffee. Remember that? Right there as we're pushing in on Jack.
I just love her character so much. Okay.
Good detail. Yeah, she just adds to the comedy.
So
I mean,
funny.
She just adds to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jack's boss tells him, take a break. You need to take some time off.
Yeah.
And Tuck decides, I need to.
What does he say? Like take a month or something. Something like that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, Jack. No, you know what he does? Jack is like, I need some time off, and he's like in the background. I think he's ready to make like a phone call, like get this guy out of it. And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, Jack. What a good idea!" And he does the thing like this guy's crazy. He goes, "What a good idea!" He tells,
he does the loopy finger.
But again, his expression and the way he sort of plays this sort of deadpan guy is just so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, every great character, every minor character.
All adds something.
Yep.
So good.
So Tuck decides he needs to talk to this guy, so he's going to head off towards the ear. And meanwhile, we get this video of the goons are watching this video with Ozzy in it, explaining how you need the combination of two. One chip is good for shrinking, but you need two to do the re-enlargement procedure. But by this point, Margaret has somehow come by photographs of Jack and his name.
Photographer took at the mall. He took
right.
the
So they know
getting injected. Yeah.
They know where to go looking for Tuck.
Oh, he takes the camera.
That's right. He punches the guy and takes the camera. Developed the film. Yeah. Couldn't share it on Instagram back then. He had to. The Terminator had to get the photos developed.
Right. And so now we're going to go into a very Jerry Lewis bit because Tuck, he travels inside the ear. He finds the harp bones inside the ear, and he places a device on there which allows him to talk directly to Jack.
Jack's in the waiting room.
Jack is at the doctor's office, and he starts hearing Tuck as he's sitting between two other patients in the waiting room who are.
So it's Joe Flaherty and
Andrea Martin.
Yes.
Andrea Martin. Okay, so two established comedians. Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me? Repeat, respond if you can hear me.
Who, me?
It works! I can hear you! Would you talk to me, please? Who are you? What's your name?
What? Are you talking to me?
No. I'm not out there. I'm in here.
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
You didn't hear that then?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't hear anything. Are you feeling all right?
Would I be in a doctor's office if I was feeling all right?
Look, pal, we have to talk.
No, we don't.
Don't what?
Don't have to talk.
Yes, we do.
We do?
Do what?
Have to talk.
Not unless you want to.
I'm in here, inside you, inside your body.
Oh, God. Somebody help me! I'm possessed!
Yeah, and it's great because again, I almost want to like edit the scene so I can't hear Dennis Quaid, so I can see what does this look like from their perspective.
What it would be like.
Yeah.
Total whack job.
Oh, I'm possessed.
Yeah. Somebody help me. Well, yeah, because he keeps telling him. He's like, "Can you talk to me, please?" And he's everywhere, but he finally says, "I'm in here, inside you, inside your body. Somebody help me. I'm possessed."
Yeah, that "I'm possessed" was like definitely in the trailer or every commercial.
Yeah.
That's a trailer moment.
Yeah, and it's
sure,
very like broad Martin Short, like playing it at 10, and it's very funny.
Well, you know, the other thing is when you're watching as a kid, you sort of feel how scared Martin Short is. I mean, you really feel for him. It's like, Jesus Christ, what the hell's happening to me? I mean, it's horrible. So there's that, but it's played as a comedic thing.
Well, all the great comedic premises are dramatic in nature, you know.
Well, comedy is rooted in pain, so
Yeah.
you know, it's
yeah.
So the doctor comes in. He finds Jack, who's sitting up against the wall with his like legs in the air, kind of in his head on the ground. He's sort of upside down.
He finds him that way.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I love that the doctor he knows Jack well enough that he's going to have to use some kind of rationality. So he tells him like, "Well, no, it can't be a demon because demons talk through you, not to you." Yeah. Oh, of course, yes, of course, right there in the
It's
medical
such a great,
text.
that's just a great thing too. I'm just like, I'm going to speak your language.
It's like a Peter Venkman kind of thing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So Jack, leaves here. He comes home, and Tuck is now trying to talk to him directly. He's trying to get his attention a little more, and Jack is trying to ignore him. So Tuck says, "All right, I got to prove to him that this is not just a psychosomatic, he's not hearing voices." So he fires up the electromagnetic thing again, which causes his TV to explode. Like a VHS tape flies out of his VCR through a window.
Yeah, out the window. Yeah.
Just proof that this is real.
He's watching a game show. He's like, and he's ignoring him, and he's like, "Okay, buddy boy."
And by the way, it's such a funny moment too, where he's just like, "Oh, good, this will calm me down." Ha 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 ha. The game.
He's like, "Oh, that's a good one." It's like 8, 9, ding, ding. Okay, buddy boy, here we go. And then they explode. And he has to put out the fire. He's got to put out the fire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They have this simultaneous thing where there's a fire inside the pod and there's a fire in Jack's apartment, and they're both
that's funny too
using the extinguishers
simultaneously putting it out. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, a little match. A little matching moment there. Yeah.
Yeah. So this finally is the breakthrough, and Tuck starts. Let me tell you what's up. And he starts explaining. I was miniaturized. Blah blah blah. We don't see all of this. We don't need it. We just know that Tuck has now relayed to Jack the events up to this point.
Yeah, and Quaid was probably reading it kind of like you indicated, Dan. He was probably reading it off camera or something to be in the scene, help the moment where he's talking to him. He's probably talking to him off camera and saying this to him. Yeah.
Right. So there's a knock at the door, and this man is there to return the VHS tape that flew out the window.
And this man
is not trustworthy.
No, but he the only thing I'll say is that he was an actor in one of my favorite movies, Phantom of the Paradise. That's all I'll say. He was already in that. I forget his name, but he's a character actor. Yeah. So he has a history.
Yep. And so Tuck does what he'll do many times in the movie, which is basically command Jack to kick this guy's ass, which he does. And he runs.
You bring up a good point, though, that is the theme of this movie, where Dennis Quaid's character is saying, basically be a man.
Right, and that's the whole lesson, because Quaid knows how to do it, but Quaid has to sort of unfuck his own life, but he's he needs to practice what he preaches, but he is helping Martin Short. He's helping him grow. It's character development.
Yeah, and so the plan is Jack is off and running, fleeing from Mr. Igoe, and he needs to get to Vectra, whatever it's called.
Vectorscope.
Vectorscope, I think is the lab.
Yeah,
where they started.
The lab. Yeah,
but because he's so freaked out. And his heart is just pounding and pounding and pounding. Tuck winds up being sucked through the bloodstream and almost into Jack's heart,
almost causes a heart attack. Yeah,
this is sort of one of the first inner body epic sequences. This is one of the big ones where Tuck is in danger, and you've got the swelling score by Jerry Goldsmith. This is one of my favorite sequences in the entire film. It's a true heroic get out of danger sort of Indiana Jones moment. There are moments where Quaid is almost like Indiana Jones trying to escape danger. I know that sounds kind of silly, but just the same sort of character moments where
that score is so important. That's so sweeping and when he is able to avoid getting drawn into the heart with the hook or whatever.
Right, and it's the music is dun 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 dun. And it's such a hero's journey. And Goldsmith is no slouch. I mean, we could list endless movies that he composed. He was the original choice for Superman before John Williams took over. But the guy's been in, shall we say, alien territory before. He knows how to do a sci-fi score. And Star Trek.
Well, that scene without music, watch it without music in a minute. It's going to have no impact. No, but and it's turned into one of my favorite scores. I mean, that is just a killer soundtrack. Killer.
And this is, kind of another nod to Fantastic Voyage. There's a famous sequence in that movie where they go through the patient's heart, but they stop the heart. They use defibrillators to stop the patient's heart so they can safely go through it.
Yeah, that was shot. That looked like that in that movie. That's one moment where you sort of have to laugh because that looks like that was shot with all the lights on or something.
It's very bright white inside a human heart.
We have to stop that. In this one, it's like,
oh wow, I've never seen that movie, so wow.
Oh, it's a great movie.
I highly recommend it. It's actually a really awesome sci-fi movie. It's up there with the best. It's sort of a must-see in my opinion. But I digress. The heart sequence, man. The visual effects in that. Again, I have the Cinefex magazine. I wish I brought it. It's in bad shape. But that is just such a well done sequence. I mean, when I was a kid, I got actually more interested in human anatomy. I got interested in human anatomy, but no, I got interested.
You have detailed files.
Detailed files on human anatomy. This stomach.
It makes him a more effective killer. I mean, yeah.
No, but I was really into. I was like, wow, what does the heart look like? And you see the movie's like, I'll show you. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but
I'll show you what.
You want to see a heart? I'll show you a heart.
I'll show you a hat. How about some
lungs?
Oh
boy, were we John Mulaney?
You have a problem with cartoons?
I'll show you a heart. Yes,
Olivia Munn gave birth to my son. Yeah.
So he uses this hook to grab onto the blood vessel.
Yeah.
And he uses this little laser, which will come in handy later, to
Oh God! But I don't know if it's OCD or body OCD, but every cut, every slice, every hook.
You feel it. It's painful.
I'm like, oh God, stop doing that.
The thing to keep you sort of sane when you watch those sequences, instead of feeling like you're watching Saw or Hostel, is that it's so tiny that it's microscopic, but it always looks like the most painful.
Yeah, well, it looks it's the size of
the giant spear in the eyeball. So yeah, I remember that hook latching onto the heart, and it's like. It looks painful.
It's it's all greasy. Yeah. It's got it's trying.
That's the stomach. But that is great too. Yeah.
Oh, that's later. That's later.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm excited too.
But anyway, yes. But it's a good point. These are micro tears. Yes.
They're microscopic, but they turn it into a giant. It's like Land of the Giants. It's a larger than life event for him, and it is really kind of an Indiana Jones escape moment.
For Tuck. Yeah.
Yes.
So he escapes. Martin Short makes it back to Vectorscope, where he kind of lets them know, "Hey, I've got Tuck. Here's what's going on," and they leave him alone in this room. And Pete and the other guy from the lab go on the other side of the glass to kind of talk. Tuck turns up the radio basically so he can hear them.
Worst nightmare scenario what they're about to discuss.
Right. So what they discuss is they would love to rescue Tuck. The problem is they can't re-enlarge him without the other chip. There's not time to make a duplicate because by 9:00 tomorrow morning, Tuck will run out of air, and he can't. Right. They even float. Well, why can't he just go to the lungs and get more air? And they said that he can't because he's shrunk down. And if he did that, essentially the rushing air in would just cause the pod to explode and kill him. So he's stuck. We now have our ticking clock.
Which, by the way, just from a screenwriting standpoint, is a great thing to do. Which is like, hey, someone watching this might go like, hey, why doesn't he go to the lungs? And I'm like, well, here's why.
No, they give you the reason, and now you've got the ticking clock, and time is running out, and it really is sort of it is similar. Does have that kind of Back to the Future vibe that the lightning has to strike the clock tower. We have the ticking clock now, so this is great. This is really well done screenwriting by Jeffrey Boehm, and so you do have the ticking clock.
Guy writes good
screenwriting. It's always the writing, but yes, well done.
Yeah, and so they say, Tuck, we can use him as bait, basically, but the odds of retrieving the chip are low. So that's might be the best they can do.
Yep.
So Tuck, understandably, basically says the hell with that, and he commands Jack to go grab his jacket, get his fancy red convertible, and get the hell out of there. And I love that he tells Jack's like, well, why should I do all this? Why? And he's like, well, if you don't, you'll have my tiny little skeleton inside you forever.
Not a pretty thought. Okay, anything, just go. Yeah.
And also he tells,
which is also just another nice theme is that it's you and me against the world, right?
Right.
Like they've got nobody.
It's John McClane.
Even their friends they can't really count on.
No, we have to do this all by ourselves. Why? Because the plot demands it. No, but it is right.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun. It's just these guys, yeah.
Right. And of course
underdogs.
And Jack, who is of course inept, not trained in anything. He's the last person.
God, I'm just
yep.
They go to his apartment. I think.
Okay, they drive to his apartment.
They go to Tuck. We get to see how Tuck lives through Jack's eyes, yeah.
Because he's going to live in Tuck's shoes, which is another thing I love about this, is that he kind of becomes him in a way.
Right. And they do this thing where he can't drink from the lungs, but he can't breathe through his lungs, but he can pull a drink from the esophagus.
This is great.
To Ozzy.
Come on, Lucky Flask. Aye.
Oklahoma tire.
Great, Jack. When things are at their darkest, pal, it's a brave man who can kick back and party. Jack, let the good times roll.
Here's a man in evening clothes. How he got here, I don't know. Man, you ought to see him go. Twistin' the night away.
Okay, this is the funniest fucking thing as an adult to me, is the drink.
I can't have a drink unless you have a drink.
That Tuck Pendleton, the hardcore alcoholic, what does he drink?
Comfort.
Southern Comfort. What?
Yeah, he likes it.
Well,
it's not a bad.
That's like maple syrup.
It wasn't his first choice. If you remember, he likes it. Oh, go pull the bottle of booze out of this thing, and it's it's empty. It's already drunk. Okay, well, there's a bottle.
All right, so we're saying that this is what's
and
it's
it's in
left.
look in the sink with the giant fish in it. That's where it is.
Yeah. All right, so but it's really funny because if anyone who's drank Southern Comfort, yes, it's fine, but it's very sweet. I mean, it's like a liqueur basically.
And so Tuck puts the flask into like this armature that goes out into the middle of Jack's esophagus, so he can catch some whiskey and saliva.
yeah. This is an R2D2 moment where it's like this machine does whatever we need it to do plot-wise.
But it doesn't fly around and zap people like Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, that's in the sequels, yes. But yeah, it's the little flask that comes out and can grab some of the alcohol.
Yeah, good scene. I love the interior of Tuck's apartment.
It's a mess.
It's a mess, but it's got gadgets and cool stuff. I don't know. It's like when I was a kid, I saw this. I was like, wow, I want that to be my apartment. I don't know. I love the look.
But just what a fun job as the production designer to design this apartment. That you're right. It's like he's a mess, but it's got gadgets. So you're like seeing all the various aspects of this personality rendered visually.
You're seeing that underneath these problems he has in life, he's like the dude you want to have a drink with. And that's what I love about Dennis Quaid as Mike Brody.
This might be a very strange digression, but I'd read something recently or they'd done a study where it was like people were allowed to talk to somebody, also people were allowed to just see their home for like 5 minutes, and it was like the people who saw their home actually learned more, were more accurately able to answer questions about their personality than people who spoke to that person.
Right, because they can't talk to them normally because everybody's on social media. People don't go out anymore, but this. Yeah.
Right. So when you see a person's home, it is a reflection of their personality. So it's what a cool, thing to be able to show that.
Makes us more human.
Yep. So they toast to Ozzy, who saved my ass by injecting me into yours.
To Ozzy.
To Ozzy. Cue,
gullet with the liquor coming down. Yeah. Great effects.
And then it's a cue Sam Cooke. We get Twistin the Night Away.
Yeah.
Twistin the Night Away. Now this is full on Ed Grimley. We are now in full Ed Grimley mode.
It's like, it's part. So Martin Short's dancing around. It's part Ed Grimley. It's part Mick Jagger. He does some like Mick Jagger bits.
Yeah, he does a little strut. But that some of that legwork is so Ed Grimley, I can't even handle it.
It's an awesome scene. Yeah.
Yeah. This is when you talk about like, let's put Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, like this is very Jerry Lewis moves.
Right.
And I just appreciate this is a movie that's very lean, but it pauses here for just a human moment, right? This is not plot important. This is just goofball shit, but it's fun.
It's so hard these days, again, to have a movie that has that kind of magic. I mean, I know they try and they miss, and I haven't seen movies like The Adam Project, and I don't really get into Netflix and that kind of stuff, but I know that they really... You hear it a lot. It's a cliche, but they really don't make movies like this anymore. They really don't. Not on this connective level. I mean, we've gone so far with social media, and we've gone so far, with kind of being introverts, I would say, that you don't really have this kind of humanity that we used to share. Going to the theater, having this experience.
Yeah, this moment is a human moment for sure.
It's a human moment that people understood. I bet if somebody watched now, I'd be like, when are we going to get back to the scene with the pot? Or we're like, no, shut the fuck,
Well, and I can imagine Joe Dante must have gotten notes to cut it.
Yeah, well, he probably did. He must have, because it's pretty lean, like you said.
Yeah, no, there's no question. There's no question, because it doesn't serve any plot point other than it deepens the relationship between Jack and Tuck.
Yep, and we downshift from kind of this happy-go-lucky part of the scene to they slow things down, and he says, oh, you should try dancing with a girl. Oh, like her. This is Jack seeing a picture of Lydia for the first time, and he says, oh, I'm jealous of you, Tuck, because you get to see cool places. So from here we cut to Lydia at work. We find out she's a journalist. I don't know if they established that before. I'm not sure if it was, but she is at work. She's talking to her colleagues.
Yeah, and that old actor Orson Bean was his name.
Right, and so is this a story or not? What's going on in Silicon Valley? They don't know the full extent. They don't know about the miniaturization, but they know there's been things are afoot. Like they knew about the break-in at the lab, but they don't know what the lab was doing. That kind of stuff. And so, but they get a tip that the cowboy is on his way. And they
Who's
go,
the cowboy?
Who's the cowboy? Cut to...
I'm sorry, sir. You're going to have to extinguish that cigar.
There is nothing like a good cigar. Okay? Partner?
I love this, that he's just a known fence in the journalist community, you know, like we know about.
This is one of the most oddball fucking characters definitely at that time that I'd ever seen in my life.
Good.
I didn't know the work of Robert Picardo. But yeah,
I don't think really anybody did. Let's be honest. He was pretty unknown here.
No, but this was, well, again, he did go back as a character. He did go back to The Howling. I mean, he was around for a long time. But yeah, this is still one of the weirdest, funniest roles I've ever seen.
Yeah. So to describe the cowboy.
So yeah, we established. Yes, please.
Yeah.
So Robert Picardo is doing some kind of a vaguely Eastern European accent. We only know him as the cowboy because he dresses like Roy Rogers, like full cowboy gear.
Yeah, he's clearly enamored with Western culture.
Right.
Correct. He is not actually, whoever made the choice to actually not give him like a Texas drawl, brilliant.
I bet they did, and I bet you Picardo was like, let me try this.
Exactly. And so he's on a plane, he lights up a cigar, he's told to put it out, so he puts it out on his own hand. That's this guy.
And the music is so off the wall by Goldsmith.
Yeah, it's a lot of very cowboy, like cliche.
It's Eastern European cowboy music.
Yeah, it's like knockoff Ennio Morricone.
Yeah, it's
kinda.
knockoff. It's funny as shit.
So Jack and Tuck are driving to find Lydia when they spot her on the street, and he honks the horn, which apparently makes a very distinctive beep that she immediately recognizes and comes over, and of course is very confused to find Martin Short wearing Tuck's clothes and driving his car.
Yep.
And he basically tells her, well, Tuck's in trouble and he needs your help. And
tell her to say, Lydia, shut up and say, Lydia, shut up and listen. He's like, all right, Lydia, shut up and listen. That quiets her down.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he says, we need a chip that was stolen from Vectorscope this morning. And they're kind of off now as a group. She's joined the team, although she doesn't really know exactly what's going on, which leads to this very funny scene.
I believe he says he's like a friend.
Yeah, he's a friend of Tuck's. Tuck's in trouble and he needs your help.
Right. So this leads to another really funny scene of Martin Short at a urinal.
Well, after drinking it, right, because he has the conversation with her at the table, and then he drank all that water.
Right.
Can't handle her.
Oh, no, you didn't do so bad. She's a tough cookie.
Yeah, well, she's a beautiful tough cookie. You're a lucky guy.
What's that supposed to mean?
Nothing. I hate this. Why can't we just tell her the truth? She might even believe us.
No. Besides, it's humiliating being this small.
What's so bad about being small? I mean, you're not going to be small forever.
Play with it, pal. But don't talk to it.
That's right. So they went to a restaurant to have this conversation about what was going on. So he excuses himself. He's got to go to the bathroom. And he's at the urinal. And he's basically talking to Tuck. But all of the things he's saying are overheard by this other person who believes that Martin Short is talking to his penis. And it is very funny.
Amazing character actor.
And the guy says, famously,
play with a pal. Don't talk to it.
You're right.
It's a very cartoon moment.
So, again, done by a dead, Kenneth Tobey. That's like getting Leslie Nielsen in a comedy. I mean, Kenneth Tobey did serious roles, and this was just funny to see him, do a little comedic moment.
And again, I just want to point out, like, you watch this movie at home, great. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You should. You watch that in the theater in that moment, and everyone's like cheering. It's just the best.
Yeah. So he walks back in, and he's immediately grabbed by Igo in the restaurant. Lydia, not really sure what's going on, but she pulls out her taser, threatens him, fires the taser. It hits Martin Short's name tag, which he's still wearing from work, all this way into the movie.
Yeah.
The electricity from that knocks Tuck out momentarily, or at least knocks out his equipment. And Jack is kidnapped and thrown into a refrigeration truck while Lydia follows.
Can I just for a moment just appreciate there's a lot of cinematic stuff that like we just believe in, like how tasers work in movies and how tasers work in real life. Very different.
Don't tase me, bro. That was before that.
Yeah, like it may incapacitate you temporarily, but in movies it's like it's knockout gas. It's
knockout.
That's it. From a plot point, it just helps you just get this guy knocked out.
Well, the other thing is that knowing Joe Dante, this is like kind of like a living cartoon also. So it's very kind of cartoony what happens with the effects as well.
But yeah, I think, I don't know much about actual tasing. I do own a taser.
There you go.
Because the world's getting more and more terrible. But I do think it kind of just seizes you up, right? A little bit. Isn't that kind of the deal? Like your muscles kind of convulse. Losing consciousness is not as common. Yeah, I mean, they did a better idea of that with The Hangover. I think with The Hangover, that was probably a good effect of what happens to people when you get tased. Okay, yeah. But in this movie, we're gonna go. He's not.
This is a pre-Jackass world.
Pre-Jack, yeah. Thank God.
So yeah, Jack is freezing in the back of this truck, and we are introduced to Mr. Scrimshaw, played by Kevin McCarthy, who's
Dr. Scrimshaw, I think.
Nuclear weapons, Jack. They mean nothing. Everybody's got them. Nobody has the balls to use them. Am I right? Space, you say? Space is a flop. Didn't you know that? An endless junkyard of orbiting debris. Ah, but miniaturization, Jack. That's the ticket. That's the edge that everybody's been looking for. Who will have that edge, Jack? What country will control miniaturization? Frankly, I don't give a shit. I'm only in this for the money. And that's why, Jack, we've got to get that little part out from inside of you.
This guy's definitely not operating on all 8 cylinders, Jack.
Who's weirdly friendly with him, which makes him even more sinister.
He's like kind of like he's more of like an every guy or something. He's not like a Bond villain kind of guy, but yeah, it does make him more.
Well, I would argue that good art is good art and it just lasts. And this character type, is been around forever. Like this guy who's just he's rich and full of, or actually, I don't think he's rich. He's fake rich. That's the thing. He's right? Because we see his office.
Literally, all my pocket change is shrunk. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
But the way he's just likes to hear himself talk. He does this whole monologue and Jack doesn't respond. So he's got this whole thing and he just likes to hear himself, and he's like, the ego is at play here. It's so, yeah. I mean, this guy,
Jack is freezing his ass off. Jack can't hear much of anything. Jack looks like he's dead. He's frozen half to death.
Doug, I believe our podcast on Planes, Trains, and Automobiles will have aired before this. But it's the same thing that I love in that I love in this. It's just good writing it involves an understanding of human nature. And this guy is just up his own ass. It's so great. It's such a great moment.
Yeah, and he's talking, his plan is essentially,
he gives it all. He gives the whole thing away.
He basically wants to be an arms dealer, but in lieu of nuclear weapons, it's miniaturization. Yeah. That's the edge he wants to get in on.
Well, there's so many great things like space, you say, an endless junkyard of orbiting debris. Nuclear weapons, everyone's got them. No one's got the balls to use them.
Frankly, I don't give a shit. I'm just in it for the money. That's why we have to get that little pod out from inside of you. Ha ha ha.
So there's no reason for him to explain all this to him but ego. And I just love that. I love that it makes sense, And
then Tuck psychs Jack up to basically, look, the doors to the truck are not locked. You can go for it. So up and at him.
You know, Jack, sitting here freezing as we are, I'm reminded of the year that I spent working in the great gold fields of Alaska.
Jack, glance around slowly so I can get a lay of the land.
I was a young man then.
Come on.
Much younger than yourself, but twice as big.
Hold it, wait. Go back to the doors. Yeah.
Those were memorable times.
Okay, Jack.
Hunting the
This
moose
is it.
and
The doors are unlocked.
I learned the ways of
is
the
your
Eskimo
moment, Jack.
and the Aleutians.
It all
Not a
comes down
pretty
to
people,
this.
Jack.
You're
but
not the same man you were this
stout-hearted
morning,
in
are you,
all
Jack? Huh?
respects.
You're better, you're stronger,
Even then,
you're a man in
my
control of your own destiny, Jack.
And
Psych
surely
yourself
called
up,
me
Jack.
old
See
man.
yourself opening the doors, Jack. See yourself jumping from the truck, Jack. You're not gonna bag groceries all your life, are you, Jack? Are you? See yourself being a hero, Jack. Psych yourself up. Nam yo horingikyum, nam yo horingikyum, nam yo horingikyum. Can you do it, Jack? Can you see it, Jack? Can you see it? Yes! I can see it. No! You can't wait till it's done! Come back here, you fool! Whoa, Jack!
And he commands. I love that he just stands up and just screams, "Yes, I can handle
Again,
it!"
because he can't hear it. No, he's like, "Can you hear it? Can you hear me, Jack?" Yes, I can. Wait, he says, "Yes, I can hear you," or "Yes, I can feel it."
handle it.
Oh
is
yeah,
what he
can you
says.
feel it? Yes, I can feel it.
And like just out of nowhere, and
The
again the
Goldsmith
Jerry
score
Goldsmith
with that
music,
hero,
like,
the hero.
just like it just comes,
Yeah.
it sweeps in, you know.
But
It's
as
right at the right
funny
moment.
as it is, it is so endearing, and it's such a powerful score that it really is. Like, as funny as it, you're laughing, but you're also cheering, and it's
This meek little man just gets up and says, "Yes."
But
I can
again, the
handle
guy-
it. You are cheering. You should
Right.
be cheering. Like if you have a
But
pulse.
Scrimshaw is like, he must be thinking like, who the fuck are you talking? But amazing.
Right, exactly, because it's out of nowhere. And then this is when we get like the car chase, right? Like this really cool,
Right, so
Great car chase.
he busts out the back of the door, but the truck is in motion.
Yeah.
Driving down the street. So he's hanging on for dear life. Yeah, right. He's hanging on for dear life on the door of this truck as it's swinging kind of wildly. Yeah. And Lydia in Tuck's convertible is coming up from behind. She's been tailing them. And so we get this thing where he's trying to make it
just the archetype of like everyone's ideal girlfriend, like in a convertible, she's there, she's got you. It's awesome.
Right. And he's like stretching his legs out to try and get onto the convertible. There's like a motorcycle that comes between his legs. Like it's really
What a great moment. Just a
And it's
random
on the
motorcycle.
poster.
Right
The
between his legs.
motorcycle, that moment, that chase is on. I know specifically. There's the VHS poster for Innerspace that has the chase on it. It's one of the kind of like little moments that they put. It's an iconic scene. Yeah.
Right.
One leg on the truck, one leg on another car. Yeah. Right.
And then Quaid holding the pod, and it's just such a goddamn. It just makes me want to watch it again.
Yeah.
But Joe Dante mentioned this about like, so the movie didn't do that well in theaters, and he was saying the initial posters, I don't know, it was just like a finger or something with the thing on it.
Yeah, the teaser poster is a finger pinching the pod. That it's kind of like an ET
right,
poster.
and it's
otherworldly.
I could understand why that could work, but it just wasn't
right
enough. It didn't convey what you were going to actually really get.
Right, and the adventure and Quaid smiling, it's much like like Indiana Jones smiling on the Richard Amsel.
Well, think about it. This classic. I don't know if you guys. Yeah. So what's the name of the? Do you know the name of the artist you just said?
The one who did the Raiders art was Richard Amsel. This looks like this might have. I don't think it was Drew Struzan. Maybe it was, but.
But I'm saying that Amsel art. That shows you like all the cool moments of the movie in some ways.
Right. It's not the theatrical art. It's more it's the later art with Indy, but he's smiling and it's kind of like, come on, let's have an adventure, kid. Let's go on an adventure.
Right. And that this movie deserves that treatment.
And that's and again, you have the hand of Spielberg behind this. So you have Spielberg didn't screw around. I mean, he did it with the Goonies poster in a way. They were more scared, but you got all their faces. You've got, in the theatrical poster, they're all hanging on for dear life. That was a Struzan poster. But yeah, they just had they just knew what the fuck they were doing back then. Mm-hmm. That's all I can say. They just knew.
And it's like, Jen Burton, was in marketing in another life. And like, we talked about this, like, to make a really good poster, you have to put money and effort into it. That's hard to do. Most of the time they just want to put like a couple of faces and just kind of, it's very bland.
They Photoshop it. It's the floating heads. It's the,
Right. So anyway, just the ones you're talking about. And I love the artists' names. Like, it matters, man. Marketing is so important.
It sells it.
Yeah.
It sells it.
Well, Martin Short makes his escape by basically tumbling. He's standing on the windshield.
Okay.
Yeah,
there's
a movie going on.
He's standing on the windshield, like waving his arm, balancing, and he finally falls like ass backwards into the front seat, and Meg Ryan takes off with him, escapes.
Which is great too. What a great, just like the way it lands. Right
and one last thing before we move on, but also you got Scrimshaw, still being funny as fuck, just being like, Putter, get back in here, you son of a bitch, Putter. Like, I love it when Kevin McCarthy yells in this movie.
Yeah, like that's gonna work.
He's just such a. We'll get into it later, but just later in his later scenes when he's in another chase, just it's the funniest shit.
Also, can I just say, like, Putter as a name is a great, like, it's almost Dickensian. Like, you're just doing this, like, you're doing little hits. Like, you're not taking big swings. He's just putting.
But it's a funny name, Putter.
Yep.
Get back here. Yeah,
Putter.
I love it.
So
welcome back, Putter. All right.
So, getting this back on track. So, Lydia and Jack.
We're going to derail it.
I know how this works. I've done this before. So Lydia
First time I've cut this loose. One of these. Yeah.
So Lydia takes Jack to this, like, they're parked outside this hotel where they know the cowboy is staying, and they're going to try to surveil and ultimately make contact with him because he is a fence, and they believe he is going to be their connect to try and get a hold of this microchip they need to re-enlarge.
Yeah, I forgot. It's
re-enlarge
just gonna get even funnier. Yeah.
So after that, we have this cut to Scrimshaw in his, what looks like his office, which is lit very pink. It's very weird.
Oh, here we go.
He's
very 80s. I mean, this is 80s
so
excess.
It's him and his big white dog. And he's
directed by Michael Mann.
Like a Samoyed or whatever that is.
And so he's calling Margaret. He's demanding the chip. She's off the clock.
Yeah, I'll have to call you back. And here we go. I know this is personal time.
I know where you want to go first.
I know.
Before we get to that,
okay.
We cut to a wide shot of Scrimshaw, and it's not an office. It's like the corner of what looks like an empty floor on a construction site or something, or a garage. It's like, you think this is like going to be a lavish office.
It's his like lair, is it not?
It's weird.
Well, this is the beauty of it. No, it's a great joke because it's like visual storytelling, right? This guy's a phony.
True.
Like he's got enough money maybe to get this space, but not enough to actually develop it, right? So like again, as an adult, as a kid, I didn't know what the fuck I was watching.
Right. I actually never even figured that out even now. So that is funny you mentioned it. I'll have to watch it again.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, I mean, it's right. It's like that this guy is not. He's a wannabe.
He's a wannabe, which makes him more human in his own way.
Yeah, and so now we're going to get to a very adult joke because
she'll have to call him back.
Yeah,
Why?
she'll have to call him back because Mr. Igo has another attachment for his detachable hand.
You see him with the hand, and he's put devices or whatever, and she's looking at him kind of longingly from the.
So I would maybe say this a little more. She's lying in bed. I mean, she's like in lingerie. It's very clear what's happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret, the cowboy is in town, and we still don't have that other chip.
I'm really awfully busy right now, Victor. I'll have to call you back.
Just get me that chip.
I mean, it's actually very. I like older women. She's very sexy in this movie.
I agree. I'll have to call you back. Just get me that chip. All right, and the phone hangs up. And what does Igo do?
Yeah.
All
So
right,
now,
here we
all
are.
right. So she's lying there. We're kind of Igo's point of view a little bit.
Almost.
The arm is kind of like up close to the camera with her in the background for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's gonna come back. So the hand goes out of view.
Yeah.
And then is there a line?
No, I think you just hear bzzz.
Well, you see what he connects.
Yeah, it's a very much a vibrator sound.
You don't see it, right? You don't see it.
No, you don't. No, there's no way you see it.
No, the hand is out of frame.
I forgot that you don't see it. You see, this is my modern perverted mind after of the older movies. But no,
Now, I got to shout out my
Fantastic.
buddy Day here, a friend of mine. She asked me this recently, and this was her own observation. She goes, is the sound that Prince is making in the song When Doves Cry supposed to emulate a vibrator? So it's and I'm like, I mean, knowing Prince.
Well, she's going to show him her little red Corvette.
Right.
And baby, she's going to be much too fast.
Anyway, but so that's a hell of a digression. But yes, what a great joke. And
it's in a very adult gag.
The parents are loving it. The kids.
No, and again, when I was an idiot. You know, I was like, what is that? A miniature helicopter? What the fuck is that? You know, a miniature helicopter you got there? I go.
That sounds fun. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Anyway, he's going to please her in only the ways that Igo Terminator can.
Yeah.
Yes.
So from here we cut to the cowboy. The cowboy is singing to himself and buffing his shoes.
Hi.
I'm an old cowhand from the Rio Grande.
And Lydia and Jack are in the next room. Jack notices she has a cute little overbite, and he asks why they broke up. But Tuck is not. Neither Tuck nor Lydia is going to share that.
Right.
But he goes into this.
But I love this too. I love this little complication, which is that Jack is like he's like yeah. I mean, he is absolutely falling for her.
And he is in. It's got a little bit of that face off. I mean, he's sort of in the shoes of another man, so he is sort of becoming.
Right. He's benefiting.
He's
learning.
It
doesn't even say it at some point. Like everything she likes about you is me.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, that's he gets him to get upset. In fact, this is coming right up. But he's like, you know what she see? You know what she sees in you? She sees me. Okay, Pendleton, where are you? Where? He's clawing into his own body. He's like, save it for the cowboy.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead. Then.
Right.
So.
But I mean, again, what a great idea is that like the perfect man is really these two guys, these two incomplete men.
Oh, because he's stimulating his adrenal. He's like, I'm getting really pissed off at you, Tuck. He's like, yeah, because I'm stimulating your adrenal gland. He's building.
But we might be able to have it narratively. I know Doug.
I'm sorry.
Well, okay.
No, this is the first time I kind of have flown off as well.
No, don't worry about it.
I flew off.
So we get this scene of the news reporters, and you get like your dossier on Scrimshaw that like he's like an attorney for organized crime, but he also runs these like pension funds which are implied to be crooked, and but he does black market arms dealing.
He wants to break out. He's like he seems like a lower level guy who wants to break into the big.
But
time.
he does
wants
apparently
to be Justin Hammer from Iron Man 2.
Maybe, but he also keeps Jimmy Hoffa's watch as a souvenir, so who knows? He's got his fingers in a lot of pies.
His wristwatch is a souvenir.
Yeah. So we get Tuck, we get the machine, the voice of the pod basically telling him your oxygen's at 60%. Like that's reminding us of the ticking clock. Mm-hmm. And we get Jack asks Lydia about how they first met. And we get the story that apparently she was interviewing him for a story. They went to dinner. He got drunk so much so that he fell in an open manhole.
He got drunk and threw up and fell down a manhole walking home.
Yeah.
That would kill a lot of people, but not him.
Dennis Quaid, always throwing up in movies.
Yep.
Yeah, he just went, who put the lights
right,
on?
Exactly.
So they find out the cowboy's leaving and they tail him to the Inferno Club or concert venue, whatever you want to call this place.
Music by Wang Chung. I love this part. Turn on the night.
Always happy about Wang Chung showing up in anything.
Yeah, To Live and Die in LA, man.
There were a lot of things about 80s movies that set me up for disappointment later in life. And one was like the club, New York's hottest club.
Yeah.
I mean, the club that everyone goes to, right? Like the Inferno Room. Okay, we're all going to
the Inferno. Or, going to Dorsey's and American Psycho or whatever. Try getting a reservation at Dorsey's now. But this was the go-to club. I remember where do you think? We're going to the Inferno or whatever. He loves going
in San Francisco. There's one club that everyone goes to. And it's the Inferno.
And the music playing is basically 80s workout music. I know you said it's Wang Chung, but it's not cool enough to match what the Inferno. It's not
song. I play it to turn on your night.
Not underground.
I love Wang Chung.
It's a fine song. It just doesn't fit the vibe that I think they're going for. But
no, but it was big hair 80s kind of music. So.
Yeah. So we get some terrible dancing with the cowboy as he's like pretending to lasso Meg Ryan. Like it's so lame and funny.
Your girl shows up again.
Wendy shows back up.
Wendy shows up again.
Well, this is like because we get. I mean, of course, we need her to come back and like. Is there a plot? I mean, Doug, is there a reason Wendy shows up? Does she do something?
Well, the idea is she's ready for him now. She happens to be in the area, and now he's basically kind of, he's fallen for Meg Ryan, and now he doesn't need her anymore, is the idea.
Right. And so she, and Wendy, of course, is excited because, like, oh, he seems different. You're here.
How long you been living this double life?
You're in the Inferno room. Yeah, like, now I'm interested. But is there a plot point to running into Wendy?
No, she shows up,
fun.
but it's a good way to kind of end that thing that Jack is changing and he no longer needs her, and
right.
it's just a nice character.
Right, now that he's healthier, she's attracted to him. Yeah.
Well, he's jumped out of trucks. He's got a guy commanding him from inside his body. He's falling for somebody else's girl.
Got it,
so now she's out of the picture.
Well, when you said she's attracted to him, what she says is, "You're the only person at the store I haven't slept with, and I'm the only one I'm kind of attracted to."
Oh, and Dennis Quaid reacts to that.
That's really that as a line is
horrible
beautiful.
human being. It's like, get out of here. Put your clothes on and get out of here. I'm waiting for you, Billy Ray. Sorry.
Right. So Lydia's plan is to, seduce or at least pretend to seduce the cowboy. So they're leaving. Lydia signals for him to kind of come. So their plan is to get back to the hotel with the cowboy.
Yes.
Because he's supposed to meet with Scrimshaw early the next morning to exchange the chip. So Jack is in his car. He's following them. And this is where you said, like, he doesn't like seeing Lydia with the cowboy, and Tuck is like, sort of like, well, I'm sorry, I have to backtrack this.
Well,
so he's getting angry. He's
feeling hostile.
Yeah, and then he's like, why am I so goddamn angry? And he's like, well, I'm stimulating your adrenal gland.
I'm stimulating your adrenal gland. Yeah.
And this is when he says, like, yeah, she deserves better than you, and he starts punching himself.
Oh, while he's driving, yeah, that's right. Yeah. He's driving. He's like, all right, where are you, Tuck? Where are you, Pendleton?
Like, use it. Great.
He says, he smacks him, or he smacks himself, and he's like, save it for the cowboy.
Yeah, which leads immediately to him basically bursting into the cowboy's room and punching him out.
After bursting into the wrong room.
Now, just please. This is one of my favorite things about this movie is I already referenced it earlier. He busts into the room.
He's waiting.
And the cowboy's response is positive. He goes, "Big Jag, don't knock, just come." And you're like, who is this swinger creepo?
And then he also indicated on the dance floor that he makes love with his boots on, and he didn't tell her the other thing he does.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is great. It's just become the devil's triangle. It's like he's like excited for what's next.
Oh, a three-way. Okay, perfect. I'm ready.
Okay, great, Jack. I'm so happy. Yes, yeah. It's just, Robert Ricardo,
phenomenal.
Nailing it.
Yeah, and we're about to kind of like crank up the Joe Dante-ness of this movie because he's got the unconscious cowboy tied up in a bathtub, and Tuck basically says, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to use the machine here to stimulate all of the muscles in your face. And
he says, what? I'm going to alter your face, Jack.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it going to hurt?
He's gonna squirm when he wakes up. There you go. Now, look at the cowboy.
Hold it. Hold it right there.
Emulation systems activated. Contour analysis stage 1.
Move over, Picasso. Look at this.
Grid mapping ectodermal contours.
Okay, go to the mirror. Mirror. What are we gonna do?
I'm going to attempt an electronic stimulation of your nerves and muscles.
What does that mean?
I'm going to alter your face.
You could alter my face? Yeah. Change my face? How do you do that?
It's complicated. I don't even understand it myself, but just trust me.
Will it hurt?
Yeah.
Well, let's not do it then.
What are you doing in there, Jack? Are you okay?
We're getting there, Jack. Now hang on, this might pinch just a little bit.
Jack?
Oh, was that a 5 or a 6? No, I'm right. It's fine.
So
great moment.
Yep. So we get this transformation sequence that's like very cartoony.
But Rob Bottin of The Thing coming back again to work with Joe Dante. So this is some of the Rob Bottin makeup effects. Phenomenal work. especially the later transformation. But again, grounding it, it's wonky, it's cartoony, but you got to, if you want to sell the transformation scene, this is no longer, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from the 30s. This is a full on transformation sequence, and it's well done with all the makeup and everything, especially later, but this is the hint of it.
I mean, this is not like the way his face is like puffing in and out and
It's
then
amazing.
Wildly gyrating.
Definitely
and
used in the trailer.
No, it's less here probably than later.
Right.
Where it's
This is
clearly
like a hint.
a fan.
Yeah, you're right. It's later.
Yeah, but the fan blowing, like everyone who's ever had a hairdryer has done the like.
Yeah. But it's great what they do with it. You're right. It is more later. Yeah.
Right. So Lydia understandably freaks the fuck out when she sees who she believes to be the cowboy talking with Martin Short's voice. And at this point, he has to explain what's really going on because there's no other way to explain.
You just walked out with a different
Right. And
face.
she's like freaked out. But then he shows her the real cowboy still in the bathtub. Like, there's your undeniable proof of this.
Right. His face is all jello-y and like moldy, and it's like moving around in a really weird way. I remember that. Like she's moving. She's like, oh my God. Like it's awesome.
Which she starts like touching his
all
face.
messed up.
Like,
right.
And his hair is the same.
Yeah.
That's the fun part too. He's got the Jack Putter hair. It's exactly.
I had it done. Clint Eastwood style.
Right. So the Scrimshaw's goons are there to greet them at the door. And so the plan is they're going to go have breakfast with Scrimshaw, and Martin Short will pretend to be the cowboy to hopefully get his hands on the chip. So we get this like breakfast scene. I like, again, like layering in like what kind of a weird bad guy he is. He's just something like, how long has it been? I think we last saw each other. What? It was Idi Amin's barbecue where we last saw each other.
Again, a nice reference to an episode that Doug and I did for Podcast But Evil.
Yes.
Idi Amin.
I love my people. I'm Idi Amin.
Mm-hmm.
Last king of Scotland.
Idi Amin's who could forget the sauce?
Cowboy, what has happened to your hair?
I had it done. Clint Eastwood style. You see outlaw Yossi Wales? What a flick.
All right, so much for the pleasantries. Now let's get down to business. Dr. Kanker.
Yes, well, miniaturization works on a dual chip system.
Don't play with your food.
We have one in our possession at the moment, and we'll have the other one very soon.
Take what they got.
Fine, I take what you got.
You do understand. The first chip only miniaturizes. Both are required for re-enlargement.
Right, we whet their appetites with what we got.
Good point, cowboy.
Thank you.
Good point, Jack.
Thank you.
Doctor, the chip, please.
Easy, easy. There it is. Hang on now, Jack. Okay, now I want you to reach out, put it in your pocket.
Gee, so tiny. Who would think?
Jack, what are you doing? Take the chip. Come on, don't freeze up on me.
I wonder, miss, if Cowboy's ever told you of his incredible tolerance for pain.
Is what?
He's what?
His what? His ability to withstand pain. Why, his stoicism is legendary. Hiding your light under a bushel, Cowboy. That is so unlike you. If that is who you are.
Uh-oh.
You mind satisfying my curiosity on that point? In lieu of champagne, how about some real pain? Propane?
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yes. How could I forgot the sauce?
How could I forgot?
Amazing.
Sauce.
This is such good shit. I love this part.
Yeah. And so,
how could I forgot? It's just. I mean, just a sentence is the best.
Oh, it's great. Well, it's like Janusz in Ghostbusters 2. So why are you came?
Exactly.
Why are you came?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I drippings with goo? You are like the buzzing.
Why
of
are you
flies
came?
Yeah. So he tries to get they try to like feel each other out. He's trying to get the chip, but Scrimshaw senses something's up, and so He does like, oh, well, let's demonstrate the cowboy's famous tolerance for pain.
Yeah, which we had seen earlier in the plane. He put the cigar in his hand, you know.
Yeah. Well, he also said, because he notices the hair. I had it done. Clint Eastwood style. You see outlaw Josie Vales? What a flick.
Yep.
Yeah.
What a flick.
So Mr. Igo has a new attachment, and it is a jet of hot propane gas.
Yeah.
And he's going to burn the shit out of him. And this causes Martin Short to have a panic attack.
Here's the makeup effects.
Yeah, because that is his heart rate and his adrenaline are so through the roof.
It's a GIF. You can look it up. Or a GIF, excuse me.
Yeah.
He can't maintain the disguise anymore, and it starts going haywire.
Fucking awesome. I just love I love the effects here. And again, beating it to the ground, but just a great makeup artist to do something so wonky and so crazy. Definitely Rob Bottin, who gives the craziest makeup effects of all time in The Thing. So, he's perfect.
Yeah, I love the reactions this gets from everybody else. Scrimshaw, Meg Ryan, who has not seen this.
Well, a bodyguard passes out once.
Yeah, I believe he's like, it was just a joke. Don't overreact or whatever he says.
Now, this is the first time his bodyguard passes out. Remember the big bodyguard that's behind him that's watching and he faints? This is the first time because he'll faint again later. But anyway, it's just a background thing. They're all watching it and the first guy faints. It's just funny.
It was just a joke.
Yeah. I was just Cowboy. I was just joking.
Oh!
You're scaring us. Stop it.
Yep. So he transforms back. He tries to grab the chip and run with it, but basically the chip ends up in the dog's bowl.
Yeah.
Where Scrimshaw has to dig it out.
Ruin his white
suit. Lydia and Jack are captured by the goons and thrown into some kind of cellar where she demands to know what the fuck is going on, and he gets Tuck's blessing to tell her. This leads to them kissing, and
is it? And sorry, you're skipping over they're kissing. Is it for her to prove it, or why do they kiss? How do we justify this kiss?
No, he wants to. He tells Tuck, shut off the communications. I want a moment alone with her.
Yeah.
And
so they have a genuine moment together? Is that what that kiss is?
Yeah,
yes.
They have a genuine moment, but by shutting off the communications, then you'll say what happens next. But
Right. It's important because, and we can say this, it's fine. Tuck gets passed through the saliva into Lydia, but I'm just trying to remember. They kiss. That kiss is a legit kiss. That's not like a...
They have a legit kiss where he's kind of kissing her as sort of Jack has sort of become like Tuck, but he's kissing her as Jack because they have developed kind of a bond. So it's like not, it's like a
right,
half
yes,
romantic,
they're
sharing a
DNA
human moment once again. So he's kissing her as if she was.
But I gotta say, the complexity of this as a child, I'm not catching. As an adult, I see it, but as a kid, that's a lot.
No, as a child, I was a little confused too. I was like, wait, ain't she with Tuck?
Yeah, she's Tuck's girlfriend. Yeah. But I get it now. I mean, as an adult, it gets weird. This is weird.
Yeah, it's like it's like something out of Almost Famous or something. But it's like they're doing it kind of like a friend.
it's groovy, okay. Man.
We're all just having a good time. So I think it was just a very human moment. So, but again, Tuck is
that's what makes these movies endure is that there's layers.
It's like Pixar. It's good for kids and adults.
Yeah.
I don't care about Pixar. Anyway, go ahead.
So they're Jack and Lydia are now taken to the bad guy laboratory, and Jack is strapped down, and the plan is Mr. Igo is going to go get shrunk down in this other scarier miniaturized pod.
Because of course.
Yeah.
More advanced. Basically, his version is sort of the champagne version of a vessel compared to sort of like the hunkered down Coors Light Jack Daniels.
Well, it's definitely more compact.
It's more compact and it's more, sort of advanced. I think in Cinefex magazine they were talking about the pod being more advanced just to show kind of like, it's like Belloc searching for the Lost Ark versus Indiana Jones searching for it. Belloc is more like a,
Well, so if I may, they're not worried about hurting anybody, or they're like, what if you just said yeah.
No, because they're, all they have to do is oh no, they didn't say, but yeah, they don't care. They'll just re-enlarge him once he's inside and just blow Jack up. They don't care.
Well, that was that they make that point. It's like we're just gonna re-enlarge him while he's in there.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck about Jack. Yeah, they're not worried about Igo's safety.
Right. So remember, the plan is they need the 2 chips. Tuck has the other one on the sub. So Mr. Igo is supposed to go get shrunk down, retrieve
And
that
look,
chip, and then we'll just re-enlarge him and kill them both.
And he hears this. He hears it. Yeah, when they're saying
this, it is a common theme. Certainly in the movies we grew up with, and I think it still is probably a big theme now. But like definitely in movies like this, it's like, look, there's the. I mean, in the '80s especially, that corporate culture, like the taking advantage.
RoboCop.
RoboCop is the quintessential movie about that, right? Dehumanizing people, and they're saying like. There's a conversation where they're like, we can just enlarge him while he's in there and get the chip, and it'll just, obviously it'll be gross. They're gonna explode.
They don't go to another room to say that. They're like, I don't care if he hears us. Let's re-enlarge.
But that's the thing is like, as a human, you should go, well, okay, you're clearly horrible.
No,
people.
she just says, do you have any idea what kind of mess that'll make? She's more worried about the cleanup.
And I don't want to get too like, political or socio-political or whatever, but I just feel like there are people that take the attitude as long as it hurts somebody else and not me.
We know who these people would have voted for were they alive today. We know.
Right. I mean, to be fair, yes, but like just making it more general, like it's not about, like they're just like, as long as it's not me, right? As long as
this is a very emotional moment. Okay. Yeah.
Well, this is actually intercut with another emotional moment because back and forth with Lydia, who's in another room, like the goon that's supposed to be monitoring her goes through her purse and tases himself and is knocked out.
Mr. Killer. I love it.
And Tuck figures out that he's inside.
Mr. Killer.
Sorry. Yeah.
And Tuck figures out he's inside Lydia because he winds up in her uterus where there is a baby.
So this is like you definitely have to work your way back when you're writing the screenplay. You want him to end up in her so that you can see this, baby, right? That's in there. And it's kind of cool that we justify it in a way that makes sense. The kiss, and we buy like, okay,
he sees the life.
So
he sees the life, moment. And again, top-notch special effects. The baby. It's kind of like a 2001 kind of baby situation, but it looks fucking real. Like he's journeying. I love this. It's like an educational journey into. It's like some Captain EO Space Mountain shit or something. It's like, here, let's get everybody into a room and educate you on the human body in the 80s, and it was like advanced at the time. Amazing special effects.
Yeah, but you see a fetus.
I'm a fetus,
and it's another moment of awe.
Yeah,
because he doesn't know. He looks outside. He's like,
but the baby looks real. That's the point.
Yeah,
it looks awesome.
Extremely. Yeah, it's great.
It's real.
So
the hand.
Lydia wastes no time. She grabs a phone. She calls her reporter friend back at work, gives him all the information, where she is, get a hold of the police, call Vectroscope, let them know, what's going on, everything. She gets all the information out. And she grabs a lab coat to go try and help Jack, which she does. She fires off a gun and commands them all to go get inside the miniaturization chamber, which is not like a big metal egg, sort of like it is at Vectroscope. It's like a recessed area within the floor.
Yeah, their version of it is more like the Apple Store versus, say, like a going out of business Circuit City. For the good guys. So they have even though they're con people.
Well, that makes sense, right? You got the ragtag version, and then you got the clean. Yeah, sinister version.
But it's more sinister. I mean, they do it from a production design standpoint. That's another thing as a kid that I did pick up on. I'm like, wow, there's this way slicker and cooler, and so they, it's cool. It's more Lex Luthor version.
Right. So all the bad guys, including Margaret and Scrimshaw, are, forced at gunpoint by Lydia to get inside this thing. And they then
I'll get you for this, Margaret.
They push a bunch of buttons, not really sure what they're doing, which, as we'll see, results in all of them being miniaturized by 50%.
Yeah. A great reveal.
Yeah. We don't see that at first. They just grab the chip, the microchip, and run.
This is after Jack gave him... No, this is before, right?
Right. So Tuck Tuck goes to Lydia's ear and starts cranking Cupid by Sam Cooke so she can hear it.
Cupid, draw back your bow.
Right, she hears it.
Yeah.
And
Tuck's in me.
Listen! What? Do you hear that? Come on. Music, do you hear that?
We're in here.
Who's in there?
The green button.
Dr. Kanker?
Press the green button, you fool. Hurry.
You'll never find it.
The man's a high school graduate.
The green button, you fool.
The police.
Who called the police?
Let's just get out of there.
Margaret, look what you've done to us.
Officer, give me a hand. Give me a hand. I know the mayor.
Another Sam Cooke needle drop here.
And so they're in a stairwell. They're confronted by a goon, and Jack is like, "Well, Tuck will give me the strength of 10 men," and he punches him out.
So now we have to make it clear this. So Tuck is not inside Jack at this point.
No, Jack thinks Tuck is.
So that is again what a great moment. It's like everything that happens is what you would want. It's like, what if Jack thought he had some special ability?
It's really, really clever.
It's Dumbo's feather, right?
Yeah.
It's the same idea.
It's
right, and he does it, and he kicks the shit out of this guy who's twice his size, and it's completely because he believes he can. You know,
it's amazing.
Right, but then what's cool is to kind of build on that moment is Lydia realizes that Tuck is inside of her. She says that out loud, and Jack is like, "Oh,
but that
shit."
means oh shit! Just as the
and he
guy
gets
rises.
back up.
And that guy's getting back up.
Hi,
and he's
Mr.
mad.
Killer.
Yeah.
But he's going to do it again anyway. He still rises to the occasion now that he knows Tuck is not in there.
That's
right.
He
does. So okay, great. So that's an additional
Yeah.
layer. It's like he knows he doesn't have the juice, but he still can do it.
He's
He
become
just did
Remo Williams.
Yeah, it's basically the beats from the end of Dumbo. Like it's the exact same idea, right? Oh, he doesn't need the feather to fly, right?
He's Dumbo on the stairwell.
Yeah. And so we get this scene. I love this. So like the bad, like you can hear kind of the bad guys talking in higher voices, and all the guys like peer down. You get the POV shot of them looking down.
I know the mayor.
Yeah, looking into where they are, and like the goon faints.
And the guy faints for the second time.
Yeah.
By the way, that's what I'm saying is that he faints again. It's
Which
just
is really
funny.
Like this guy's got a fainting
this guy's
complex.
not a good hire, but it just makes me laugh. This is the second time he faints. It's a nice little plug they add
faints.
in.
He's a
Not,
fainter.
you wouldn't
You got a
notice it,
fainter
but it's
here.
like it's just funny. The same guy faints again.
Right. And we see a couple of little like feet run out to and get in the back of a car, and we can hear the bickering, so we know it's Margaret and Scrimshaw.
Reminds me of Child's Play. It always reminds me of like a little Chuckies.
So Jack and Lydia kiss again to transfer Tuck back to Jack, and they haul ass.
Oh, by the way, also that's the most fantasy like logic of this entire movie. Is that like, oh, we'll just kiss. We're just gonna kiss and send him back through the kiss. Like if it worked the first time, it's gonna work the second time.
Right, but it works. It works by the. It's like Back to the Future clock tower logic. It's kind of like the script I think is strong enough to where you feel pumped up, and it I don't know, it worked.
But I do believe in that moment, watching it again, I was like, this is a shortcut. Yeah, let's just get him back in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but you've got the momentum to buy it, I would say, and the suspense.
Sure, you could waste 10 minutes going like, I've got to get back into like that part of the body and like the salvatory, yeah, like and they're like, no, we're gonna clip along here.
Very
right.
important.
We're in the climax now. I mean, like we're getting like Tuck is running out of air.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have time for this shit. But if you watch it and if you want to look critically, you go like, this is a little bit of a.
He's back, and he didn't. Yeah, he was just back. We don't know where. He's just back right away. I'm thinking I'm back.
Right. So they warned Tuck about Igo.
John Wick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Inside Martin Short. All right. Anyway.
So they warned Tuck, hey, by the way, there's someone else in there with you, so watch out.
Yeah.
And so now we get this scene as they're hauling ass to get to Vectorscope so they can re-enlarge Tuck before he runs out of air, and they are assaulted by the tiny villains in the back seat.
This car.
This looks great. Like for all the we talked a lot of sugar about the special effects inside Jack's body.
No,
I think the special effects with the tiny the 50% sized villains, they look real. They look like they're right there with Martin Short,
like,
full size.
This is like Lord of the Rings stuff. Like they're doing
trickery.
probably a range of things, a lot of tricks, trick photography. They probably have young dwarves or little people. Yeah, they're doing everything they can.
Cinefex magazine broke it down. I mean, the Cinefex, I really miss that magazine. It was my favorite. But Cinefex really broke it down and all the model work and the different people they used for it. But it was a full, building a different size scale models of the interior of the car, different actors. So it was pretty intense as far as making that whole sequence.
We're getting old, man. Like, now it's all, generated in a computer, which is impressive enough. But like, they're thinking shot to shot. This one will be this. This will be this. This will,
They're thinking shot to shot, and by thinking shot to shot, you're getting more creative with your shot selection instead of just the camera just looking at one sequence where CGI people are running all over the place without you cutting once. This was back when they each shot.
You're absolutely right. I mean, you are correct. It's like you're really building what would I want to see on that screen.
You have to work the problem with every shot versus just, watching a boring battle where it's one shot and, in Avengers, they're just fighting this like endless army on a hill and there's no cutting and it's just like, oh, look.
I mean, I'll say, look, even with all that like technological advancement, if you can make that engaging, it's possible, but that's impressive in and of itself because you have so many options. But in this case, they had to build it, they had to conceive it,
storyboard it, do the whole thing, shot selection.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really cool. You're right. Yeah. It's a really cool thing.
And this is, so we've got that special effects stuff intercut. So they're careening through the streets of San Francisco while, again, like
going over the hills.
Yeah, Scrimshaw's like pulling at Martin Short's face.
I'll kill you, Putter. It's just the lines are so funny.
Yeah, he's got the helium voice.
He's got the helium voice. I'll kill you. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have that. You gotta have
right.
Meg Ryan's fighting the little Margaret.
Right.
It's funny.
Ow! Yeah, she slapped. Oh, it's ow. We're not gonna have violence against women unless it's another woman.
That's
she
right.
slaps her.
Right.
True lies moment.
So this is intercut with Igo battling Tuck inside of Jack's esophagus.
The best.
This is really intense because he's like just disabling the equipment. He's like attacking the oxygen tanks that are already low.
It's like something Fantastic Voyage. I feel like they were on the verge of doing something like that when I watched the original film or, played the Atari game when you introduced me to the Atari game you had in your house when we were like, little kids. But now they've taken it to the next level as far as paying tribute to Fantastic Voyage. But now we're having like sort of like a little like Star Wars battle inside of Jack. They push the envelope. I love the battles and the effect sequences are fantastic in this final fight. It's just a really...
Honestly, with this movie, the way this movie rendered the stomach is how I still think of
right.
it.
And I was actually like into the shape of the stomach because of this movie. I'm like, it looks like that. You've got it. But I mean, that's a couple moments later. But God damn, those special effects really hold up. They deserve the Academy Award. They gave it to it for a reason.
Yeah. The car chase ends down at the beach. Like they managed to just basically careen into the beach.
And as Jack is every time Jack falls over in the fight with with the little people in the car, every time he's knocked over, of course, Tuck's environment is changing. So Tuck, now the stomach is sideways or now the lungs are sideways, and it's like that's really another cool thing.
See, now that's an element that I hadn't thought of. Is
the movement inside the body.
Orientation changes. Tuck's
and what do we now? We have to build a whole new set. Now we have to build more miniatures for every. So they bled for this. That's the sign of a good film.
Right. And so Pete has been tagging along after this car chase. He picks up Jack and Lydia on the beach and is taking them back to Vectroscope.
Right.
While this fight is still going on with Tuck and Igo, and Tuck is basically telling they've now basically plummeted into Jack's stomach. And Tuck is telling him basically anything that will get his stomach acid to go, so he tells him he saw a tumor.
All right, again, I just gotta say, mind fucking body stuff, man. Like, I just gotta say, I love it. This movie gets it. It's he makes him nervous. Tuck says something to Jack through the intercom that's like,
He's using his body as a weapon. And
Yeah.
I think you told me about this when we were kids. I think this was actually one of the reasons I got really into the film. I think you told me about this. I know you used to tell me about certain scenes of films that you saw. And, you know, amazingly back then you would see them first.
He says, I saw something down here. It's probably benign. He says, it's probably benign. That's what
Jack,
he
I'd say
says.
it's
It's
the
like
size
so
of
great.
candlestick.
Oh, a tumor.
There goes my ulcer. There goes my ulcer. Yeah.
Yeah, he starts to trigger his ulcer with
Here's
just
how
his
I spell
anxiety.
relief.
And
Yeah.
so now we've got Tuck here and the villain Igo, and Tuck's like, I need to get this stomach acid super acidic.
Yeah,
I need
and
it going.
what a great place to have a climactic showdown. I am a huge fan of like big finales of movies. I don't care what movie it is, and this is just such a great example.
Hey, if you're gonna do a showdown in the human body, a lake of acid, that's it. That's the place to do it. Yeah.
It could have gotten worse. It could have been like, oh, let's go deeper into the intestine. Hey, Jack, we'll hide in the shit. No, but they didn't do that. That's for the next movie.
Yes, Jack, think loose thoughts.
We're gonna shit our way out of here. Chris Hemsworth in Innerspace. I'm just gonna shit our way out of here.
That's the remake. The remake
It
coming
will.
soon. Yes, to stream.
And so they
streaming.
they plummet into the acid, and exactly what you think happens. Igo is completely disintegrated. It's extra gross. For some reason, it doesn't affect Tuck's pod. I guess it was designed to withstand this, and the other one
it's
wasn't.
more complex.
Well, he's out of the submersible.
Well, you sort of buy it because you got this larger pod. Sorry, what was it? Do you have it?
He ejects. Remember, he ejects from the pod
because he damaged. So Igo had to eject. That's why he got. So both submersibles were acid proof.
Oh, so he was in it. He didn't have the outer core.
He didn't have the biosuit. He was only in his biosuit. He didn't have the vehicle around him. So he was clinging to the pod.
Again, this is solid screenwriting because you're going like, we're going to remove a lot of like, but what about?
This is something James Cameron does to be more precise too, to be honest with you, is that he gives you enough of a realistic answer to keep that story flowing. So this is something else James Cameron does.
Yeah, I mean, it really needs to work while you're watching it. If it holds up a little bit afterwards, that's a bonus.
So he digests the hell out of him, and he tell you told me this as a kid. You said he says you just digested the bad guy. You did tell me that. I remember that.
Which is exactly what he says.
You said, and then he burps.
He burps.
You told me he burps. I remember this. 6 or 7 years old. You told me this.
You just digested the bad guy.
And so now we get this Little Rascals scene where Tiny Margaret and Scrimshaw make their way to a phone booth, and Scrimshaw stands on her shoulders.
You do have a credit card.
And this is where, Alex, this is where San Francisco is still a character. You got this nice view of the coast,
It's still a character. It's still the bad. When you're watching it as a kid, not so, you don't think of it so much. But in this, it's like, wow, it's really a nice, like a chic look.
It's very clearly San Francisco.
It's very clearly San Francisco. But the phone booth is awesome. Back then there were phone booths, and
we had phone booths. Ask your parents about them, what they were.
So they call the cowboy from the from this phone booth.
Yeah.
And so we cut back to Vetroscope. They're hauling ass into the lab because Tuck is about to run out of air, and Martin Short needs somebody to pull out Chekhov's hairspray so he can sneeze Tuck out, which he does onto the glasses of one of the techs.
Yeah, but wait, come on. The first thing that's brought out, the most 80s thing ever, is moose.
Right.
Yes.
He said, not moose hairspray, but they also have to solve a code, eat me, drink me, in order to reoperate the system.
Okay, so the other adult joke.
Yeah.
The other adult joke that I did not get as a kid. Eat me, drink me. It's like, oh, I know this. It's from The Exorcist.
Fuck me. Fuck me.
So fucking funny. That's such a good joke. Eat me, right?
Exorcist is one of the best comedies of the 70s. What I love about The Exorcist is it's fun for the whole family. Oh,
it keeps getting funnier every time I see it.
Yeah. That scene with the cross.
But yes, eat me, drink me is right. So eat me, I assume, is from The Exorcist or something at some point, or something like that, right? Some reference, but that's what they're tracking on. And as a kid, you're like, I don't get that at all.
No, I didn't get it either. But at the time,
No, I saw it. I was like, oh, that's really...
it's adult stuff. Yeah.
But the sneeze works. They grab him. With tweezers. They put him in the machine. They re-enlarge him, and he pops out, and he's back together with Lydia. And we get this great moment between them, and this great recognition. Where he sees Jack.
Disengage cooker shield.
Let's get him out of there.
Initiating shield disengagement.
Prepare for pod access.
I love you, Lydia. Why didn't you tell me?
Welcome home, Lieutenant. Like a cigar? Cuban?
This is the first time you've seen
They're
those
all together
characters together
now,
Yeah.
and they've
All
earned
three of
this.
them, yes, that's right,
what's going to
that's
be
right.
a lifelong sort of adventure team, one way or another. I mean, they've all gotten better at life. It's not kind of like a team like we're the Avengers.
Well, they've all
They've
grown.
all grown.
I mean, we didn't talk so much about Lydia's journey, but and
She's
I know
not as much the focus, really.
Like, she's not the
Yeah.
focus, but and probably doesn't have the arc that the other two have. She doesn't, but they have grown.
She learns to like Jack and fall in love with Tuck, but she's more the
Yeah, it's a stretch. It's a stretch.
unfortunately the tool. She is sort of better or worse. She's sort of the tool for the two guys to bond.
Yeah, I know. I'd love for her to have more to do. but,
I think
you know, I agree.
I mean, I think it worked. I think
No, she's great. I mean, she has fun stuff to do. She just doesn't have the arc.
she doesn't have the art.
Right? Like the arc is it's
the two guys. It's the two guys getting the arc.
Right, and the thing is, they both grow. As I said before, Jack becomes harder, Tuck becomes softer. That's what this. It's a dude movie. It's about two guys changing.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. But I mean, it's I love sort of the bonding and the friendship, and another great moment is when Tuck, when he's coming out of the pod once it's been re-enlarged. I love one detail is they kick Igo's drilling arm. He was trying to drill into the pod. It's still there.
Yeah.
They kick it away.
It got
and
enlarged.
It crawls away. It sort of drills itself away.
Yeah.
And then when Tuck...
it's thought out. Everything is so well thought out.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of like the idea, like an E.T. goes home moment. It's not the same emotion, but it's a great reuniting sort of sequence. And I love just when Tuck sees Jack for the first time and they exchange. He gave him a Cuban cigar. Mm-hmm. And he
it's
gives
very yes, and it's very they know each other even though they don't know it. You like
they've known each other, but they've never met in this way. It's really it's a really well done script. Yeah, really well done.
It's not too dissimilar from when Bruce Willis and Reginald Val Johnson see each other at the end of Die Hard.
It is. It's the exact emotion.
It's the same. You're right. You're spot on. Yeah, it's like. Yeah, Powell. And then they would go on to be friends. And same thing.
Honestly, if I'm like, ladies, I love female friendship. You understand male friendship, Innerspace, and
it's a male bonding movie and Lethal Weapon.
Yep.
So yeah, there you go.
So now we get into the ending of this movie, which is a little weird. So we cut to the wedding of Tuck and Lydia
in the location. Scrimshaw's lair. They've turned. It's a real place. I've been to that real place. I forget where it is, but
sorry, the wedding is happening
in
the same place they shot
it. That they shot. Well, it was where
Oh, but
no, but I believe they had
access
access to it. But I think it's supposed to be the same place that they just used. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it is the exact same.
You're saying it's a narrative. There's a narrative.
I thought there was there was a narrative reason. Maybe there isn't, but it's definitely the same location where they shot. I think they shot like script all the stuff with the cowboy transforming. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So they're getting. So yes, it ends with a wedding. Like all good comedies, all Shakespearean comedies. It ends with a wedding.
Right. And so Jack has gifted Tuck and Lydia the cruise that he paid for. So they're going to take the cruise for their honeymoon. For some reason, Tuck has the two microchips on as his cufflinks.
Yes.
That makes no sense.
It's baller.
But I love it.
And Wendy is back. I forgot. Wendy, Wendy and the doctor are back.
Wendy and the doctor are both back. Like, God.
And they're going to look at each other in a minute. But yeah, Wendy and the doctor and the supermarket manager. Jack, I could use you back at the store. They all want to lure Jack in now because Jack is still the single guy.
Jack is Jack 2.0, and everybody wants a piece of him,
including Wendy. And
but
his doctor wants to, like you said, kind of use him as an experiment.
Jack, listen, I've been thinking about something, and I really think that we should try dating. Not exclusively at first, at least for me.
Since you're not going on the cruise, I sure could use you at the store on Monday. That was the cowboy. Huh?
Who's the cowboy?
It's classified. Doc, I'm cured. Wendy, not a chance. And Mr. Wormwood, thank you. And I quit.
Jack Cutter to the rescue!
A couple things here. So one, Jack clocks the fact that the limo driver is the cowboy. Mm-hmm. And we see that the cowboy has Minnie, Margaret, and Scrimshaw in a suitcase in the trunk of the limo.
Yeah.
And they're all driving off, and Jack realizes what's happening.
Right.
So he turns to his boss, Wendy, and his doctor, who, again, I don't know who invited them to this wedding, but they're all there.
They're all there.
And he basically says,
I don't think he has a lot of friends. I think he's going with the people he knows,
He says, fuck all y'all in his own way.
I love how he tells him off. He says, Doc, I'm cured.
Yeah.
Wendy, not a chance. And then to his boss, I quit.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I quit. Jack Putter to the rescue.
And he peels out after them to a sequel that will never happen.
Yeah. Thank God. They didn't need it.
Yeah.
But that's great, isn't it? Like that's the best version of any story, is that you get to imagine.
Yeah, the adventure continues because now Jack is qualified to have adventures because he's outgrown all of his nervousness.
He's ready to go. Yeah. He's done. He's done. He's grown into a hero.
You've heard of Batman. He's
Jackman.
Yep.
I'm Jackman. I'm going to go after them myself.
And
he's Billy Bob Thornton is.
And we get this version of "Twistin' the Night Away" sung by Rod Stewart, and that's the end of the movie.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so that's the upgrade, and then.
But I just the wrap up of those characters who are all great. Every single one of those characters was funny and memorable, but toxic.
Right.
For Martin Short, and he's like, nope. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah. They were sort of keeping him sick in a way, and they were sort of keeping him down.
Yes.
And
well, it was a dynamic that everyone had created.
And again, you go back to the writing of Jeffrey Boehm, and I think he did such an amazing script. I know I wasn't part of The Last Crusade, but that's such a deep father and son bonding story. And that has so many things in it that come full circle. And that's also a really well done script. I mean, that had gone through so many scripts. They were going to do, Indiana Jones in a haunted house and all kinds of shit. But they ended up with that script. And there are some similarities in the depth of the character, the richness of the characters, learning about each other, being introduced to people you've known your whole life, being reintroduced to them in a certain way, like a father being reintroduced to the son and learning things about them and having an adventure together. You could see that he was going to kind of go on to write that script for Last Crusade. There were going to be some similarities in the richness of his writing. And,
100%.
I know he's no longer
totally
with us,
agree.
but I know he was a great script. He did Lethal Weapon 3 too.
When I found that out, in a theater when Joe Dante was like, oh, the same screenwriter as Last Crusade, and I'm sitting there going like, well, Last Crusade is
Sure.
my favorite movie.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And I loved
Yeah.
Innerspace, and I was like, oh my, I just felt this kinship. His and it teaches you about writing, which is that your persona will, into everything you do.
The everyman. Yeah.
I wish I could. I would love to have talked to Jeffrey Boehm. I would love to have, because I just think that he would have had things to say that I would have loved to have heard.
And every writer's different. I mean, let's just thank God that, Innerspace wasn't written by like David S. Goyer or something, it's just, wouldn't have worked, or Zap
Shots fired.
I know. What I'm saying is that it seems to me that some of the older screenwriters, I mean, I think Kevin Jarre, who's no longer with us either, wrote Glory, one of my favorite movies.
Glory. I mean, Doug, if you want to do a Glory podcast.
It's an amazing. It's James Horner's finest hour, but they have an understanding, of the complexity, like you said, of human nature, and I think the reason that this movie did so well, or continues to have sort of a cult following, is that complexity. That it is not. It's not Red One. It's not something that's out now. It's not just like a cash grab. It has something to say, and it carries on with tremendous work from acting, from editing, from musical score, from writing, and of course from special effects. And you've got
and it is on its surface, it's a romp, right? Like,
it's a goofy story, but they start to ground it.
But it's done. Yes, grounded. It's grounded, and like that's the thing. I go like, well, what do I love in a movie? It's what Jeffrey Boehm wrote. Honestly, that I realize now, he's like, I want fantastical stuff. I want it to be a spectacle.
But you have to bring it home. You have to, right.
And complexity,
we really don't have as much of that in movies anymore. I mean, every movie we've talked about, it's nostalgic memory. And a lot of times it comes down to the power of the writing. So, yeah.
So I really think that Innerspace, I would argue that, I call it a Goonies thing, where like, if you didn't grow up with it, you're not going to appreciate it. Like Goonies, you can't show Goonies to somebody my age who's never seen it and appreciate it. Innerspace, I think, is not that. I think Innerspace you could show to anybody at any age and they would understand why this is a good movie. And it's fallen through the cracks consistently. I don't know, bad luck, whatever, for a lot of reasons. But if anyone is watching this or listening to this rather, watch this movie. I defy you to not have a great fucking time.
It's got everything, right? It's got great comedic moments. It's got some very human moments. It's got some spectacular visuals.
It's got amazing suspense.
And it's got like just that extra thing that Joe Dante brings, which is like, you're going to see some weird shit you never thought you'd see, and putting all of those things together in one package. It's like, as you said, like it's a one-stop shop for everything you could want in a movie.
And it's really rare to get all that in one movie.
Yeah.
Like, and like, I like movies that are slow burns. I like movies that are small. I like all the various kinds of movies. These are big movies. These are big spectacle movies that also
the last thing I'll say at the least is, we like slow burn movies. For me, it's something like There Will Be Blood or Sicario or something like that for me personally. But the danger I find in a lot of modern films is that they're taking that story and expanding it into something that it's not supposed to be. Whereas it seems to me that in the 70s, the 80s, and even the 90s, they didn't take it too seriously. There was a sense of like whimsy and a little bit of a lighthearted touch. Whereas now, once again, it's every movie has maybe even a plot like that, but it's going to be music by Hans Zimmer, and it's going to be a bit of everything has to be too epic. Whereas this, they seem to be able to get something smaller and tender and quicker.
It's an epic, and the thing is, Innerspace is an epic movie. It's an epic movie, but it does it right. It does it in a way that is not making fun of itself.
It's genuine heart,
right? So in the comic book community, like there's sort of these two camps, right? There's the people that are like, it's super serious. It's got to be Chris Nolan, Zack Snyder, whatever the fuck. And then there's the like, Joss Whedon, whatever, or the brothers,
the Russos,
the Russo brothers. I respect both approaches, but people, they create these camps. And Innerspace to me is a movie that threads the fucking needle.
Fine line.
It's both. It is epic. It is funny. It has an internal logic. It does not betray itself. It does not make fun of itself.
When it needs to, it does.
That's
hard
why
to
I love
front.
these
It's
things. I
a
love
it's
movies
a
like that.
it's a gem. It's a gem, and it's kind of a hard to find balance. And there are not many movies like
incredibly hard.
Not many like it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
yeah. I agree, and it stuck with us our entire.
Since we were kids. Again, we'll bring it back full circle. You told me about a movie called Innerspace that you saw. I saw the trailer. We were 7 years old or so, wandering around the top of the world in Laguna Beach, and it's always been one of my favorite movies of all time, and it will continue to be.
And now we've locked it in forever on this podcast. So, yeah.
I mean, we did the deepest
Indeed.
of deep dives.
Very deep inside.
Very deep.
You might even say on a subatomic level we went through this movie. But
I went so deep inside this movie.
So that's a good place to leave it as any. So I will first, Dan, anything you want to plug?
Well, I'm actually doing an interview tomorrow. I'm sure it'll show up on YouTube at some point. I've ended our podcast lately a lot talking about mind-body stuff in terms of like chronic conditions and getting, and healing and stuff. I'm doing an interview with Dan Buglio, who I think does really good work in terms of, getting people aware of the relationship between thoughts, emotions, and physical health. About what I've been through. I'm gonna lay it all down, and I think it'll be probably online at some point after this thing comes up. So if you look up Dan Buglio,
awesome.
I'm sure I'll be in there somewhere as a success story.
Good luck, man.
Yeah, and if it comes out before this podcast airs, we'll make sure to put a link to that in the show notes. Alex.
I'll be happy to do it. And by the way, how interesting that we're doing Innerspace, which is about the body. So it's like
the body and the power of the mind.
Yep.
The body of the mind.
So Alex, what's going on with the Canyon? Anything that's for people who don't know, that's Alex's short film that I know you had it in the Twin Cities Film Festival last time we talked. So what's going on with it now?
Yeah, so that went great. So we are finalizing a new cut of it. The Canyon was kind of a long version of a short. It was 27 minutes. Now we're cutting it down to 23. So it's still going to have all the horror elements in it and all that good stuff, but we're going to make it a nice, faster paced package for people. So we're kind of selecting the festivals for the end of this year in 2025. So nothing new yet, but we are just kind of finishing up the latest cut for it. And then I'm doing my screenwriting stuff. So I've got about three projects I'm working on simultaneously. One of which is with Scott Spiegel, who wrote Evil Dead 2 back in the day. So he's awesome, and I've been working with him for a while. So I'm hoping for good things. But basically, it's the Canyon and writing, and then go back to the Canyon and writing. So I'm hoping,
Well, I'm so excited to hear about more work being done in production because it's slowed down a lot after.
COVID it's all very independent. My stuff is independent, but my goal is to write what I think is a good script and try to get it out to somebody. So I'm hoping I have more producer meetings and things in the new year and just really light those fires. But
independent production is where all the good stuff happens. That's what the interesting work is.
It's a calling card, and I feel like I get better with every script. I learn something new. Doing discussions like these reminds me of things I should be putting into my scripts. So it's good stuff. But
right, yeah. I mean, like geeking out on a mutually loved script.
You dissect it, and then you're like, oh. That worked. Maybe I should do that. Not use the same plot, but have, maybe we need a human moment here.
If the world gets another movie on the level of Innerspace, I will.
Hopefully not with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
No. All right. So I will do a little quick admin here. Of course, if you like the show, please do go wherever you found it, drop it a review because that helps increase the podcast visibility. Also, word of mouth is very much appreciated. We're on all the major social networks if you want to talk to us, although maybe not Twitter by this point. We're seeing that seems to be circling the drain. So, maybe not so much Twitter.
What's your truth? What's your truth social?
Also not on Truth.
You can find me on a podcast with
Truth Me
at interview the worm that's been in RFK Jr.'s head. So you can find me on that podcast next.
Sure.
Oh wow! Yes,
the worm that won the election. I'm kidding.
So if you want to. I was going to say, so if you want to find out what's coming up next on the podcast, follow us on Instagram and Facebook. That's where I post clues on Wednesday as to what the next episode is going to be. So that's just follow us and play along. So, guys, I think that'll do it for this episode. Thanks so much for coming on to talk about Innerspace. This was as much of a geek out as I'd hoped it would be.
It was the ultimate geek out. I loved every minute of it.
We geeked hard.
We dissected every moment in true geekdom.
Indeed. So until next time, there is one more entry in the Nostalgia Arcana.
Let me tell you about a place somewhere up in New York ways, where the people are so gay, twisting the night away. Here I have a lot of fun, putting trouble on the run. Man, you find an old and young, twisting the night away. They're twisting, everybody's doing great. Man, they're twisting the night away. Kid, a fella in blue
Oh, there's ancient skies, I've had these wandering eyes, but you took me by surprise when you let me inside of you, inside of you, inside of you. There's got to be some part of me inside of you. Inside of you, I could cross this desert plain. Inside of you, I can hear you scream my name. Inside of you are the stars unfold. I've crossed me.